Okay, we should be live. Let me just get everything set up. I'm going a little bit earlier than scheduled, as I have a tendency to do. I tend to schedule these live streams, but then you know what? Decide to jump on them anyway. All right. Let me figure out where I'm going to sit first. And have a drink, of course. And don't worry, guys, I don't have any crisps this time. So you won't have to sit and listen to me munch. So that's something. Oh, phone's making noises, my bad. Yeah, I've got like 2 laptops and a smartphone sitting around me. My place is a bit of a tip at the moment, but it's all good. Alright, we've got a few people in the chat already. Nice. Juicy J, good to see you here, man. Salute Nordic. Yeah, salute to you too, man. God bless you. Taylor, do you watch the presser? No, I've not seen the press conference yet. I might give it a look. Why, did anything interesting happen? I came as I'm your number one fan. Awesome. Anthony Joshua's my number one fan. I'm not sure whether to be honored or terrified by that, if truth be told. Yeah, I thought you were Ben behind me, Heine's favorite fan. I thought you were his number one fan. Shout out to Bruce Goes again. Good to see you every time. God bless you, bro. Shut up, phone. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Turn that bloody thing on and I'm getting pinged every 2 seconds. It's annoying. I might just turn it off, actually. I hate phones, by the way. I really don't like them. If I could get through life without one and it wouldn't cause me any bother, believe me, I'd go ahead and do that. One second, guys. Let me sort this. Alright, 1 second. Wait there. Alright, that's sorted. Where was I? Okay. I'm liking what I'm seeing in Wilder and Saudi. Yeah, Wilder's hyped up for the fight, isn't he? He's going to be going for that knockout, you can tell, as always. So on a serious note, you think Miller can take Dubois' power? He could probably take it for a couple of rounds. But to be honest, I can't see him taking it for very long. Because Jarrell Miller, yeah, he's got a good chin, but he gets hit way too much. He really does, man. Just way too much. I mean, let's be honest, the guy's an absolute punching bag. He is. I mean, that's his game plan for every fight, is to be the bigger man, walk forward, take as many punches as he has to until the other guy just falls over. And it's not a style that ages well, especially if you don't stay active. You know, you generally don't look after yourself. and stay in shape, which obviously Jarrell Miller doesn't do. I mean, well, I just see the guy getting violently knocked out. And if Dubois doesn't knock him out, he'll land, in my personal opinion, he'll land so many punches to the point where Miller will just probably collapse from taking so many and he'll probably get stopped, you know? But having said that, as many people have pointed out already, Daniel Dubois has no heart. So if anybody could get stopped, it's him, you know? So I wouldn't be overly surprised if Dubois got stopped, like if he quit. I wouldn't be overly surprised. But I just don't see it, man. I don't think it's very likely. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's just a situation where you got one guy who's somewhat politically protected. He's a guy who does look after himself. He does stay in shape. And then you've got another guy who is just a punching bag who no one really cares about. So, yeah, that's just how I see it, man. I think you got to favour Dubois, and the bookies agree with that, you know? It's lagging again. All right, back. I'm not. I'm not even. I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna apologize for that. I'm sick of Streamyard. Yeah, I know. I know. I had the recording on the whole time. I know. I knew the mic was on, but I was trying to. What do you call it? I was trying to reboot my computer, but yeah, here's what it is. Seems to be working now anyway. All right, where was I? Again, I'm not even going to bother apologizing for it. It does it every single time. My internet works perfectly, right? All my devices work fine until I try to run StreamYard. Then I run into problems. Absolute sick and tired of StreamYard, man. It takes the piss. All right, where was I in the chat? Um, but I love Miller, no homo. Yeah, Miller has no chance in the ring, probably. All right, where am I? I keep losing my place in the bloody chat. Saudi Arabia made this happen. It's a good card. I don't think it's a very good card personally. I think it's just a what do you call it? Usual bunch of setup fights as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I can't think of a single fight on there that really intrigues me. You know, Miller face to face. No, no, I didn't catch that either. And again, I don't tend to watch press conferences. They're not something that I typically watch, if truth be told. Not something I typically watch at all. I think Miller KO's you think Miller's gonna stop him? Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be picking Miller. I disagree though. I just personally think that he's gonna walk into too many shots, and I think he's probably gonna get stopped himself, if truth be told. I think Miller will make Dubois quit eventually if he can take it. Yeah. Yeah, see, that seems to be the thing. That it seems to be what a lot of people who are backing Miller are counting on. They're counting on the fact that Dubois just won't be able to go a hard 12 rounds with the kind of pressure that Miller's going to put on him. But if truth be told, I don't think Miller is going to be able to apply that much pressure because he's going to be taking a lot of punches on the way in and he's going to be getting hit. He's going to be getting hurt. Daniel Dubois probably hits harder than anybody Miller's fought. He's not really fought any noted punchers, has he? Sporting Icon said Triple D has been taking triple knees in sparring. Who's he been sparring, I wonder? Like, he'll need to get some pressure fighters, I reckon. You know, guys who have a good chin to kind of emulate Jarrell Miller, you know? It's hard to get a sparring partner like that, you know? A guy who's that heavy and that durable. All boxers are biological females. Imagine that was true. When you say all boxers, you mean like literally all boxers, anyone who's ever boxed. Yeah, shout out to Shane Murphy. Good to see you here, bro. God bless you. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a bad mood after this stream conked out on me again. It's always StreamYard that does that, you know? I would usually give Parker a good chance against Wilder and probably pick him, but I can't see the Saudis putting Wilder or AJ in fights that are genuinely a threat. Yeah, they won't. Look, Wilder and AJ is already set as far as we're aware. So are they really gonna let one of them get knocked out? I mean, I very much doubt it personally. Very much doubt it. Parker dropped Chisora. Fury would not. So I think Parker can drop Wilder. Yeah, he can drop Wilder, but again, that's if he actually comes to try and win the fight. And is he going to do that? I mean, Joseph Parker strikes me as the kind of guy who can be bought, you know, as any fighter can. They've all got their price. And if you can't buy them, you just rob them or you threaten to kill their family, you know. Here's what it is. That's what happens. When you got people like Daniel Kinahan involved and the Saudis, what do you expect, you know? People like Jay Prince and whatnot. I believe if Dubois doesn't crumble in the early rounds, then I can see him outboxing Miller. Yeah, I mean, Dubois will definitely be winning rounds. I mean, I would be very, very surprised if Miller went in there and was able to just get the better of Dubois early on and do a number on him. Very much doubt that, you know? Like, one thing I'm fairly certain of is Miller's gonna come forward, try and set the pace, and he's gonna get hit a bunch of times. Yeah, yeah, Miller's never fought, as far to my knowledge, he's never fought a, what do you call it? He's never fought a noted puncher. So, how do we know how his chin's gonna be? People are talking about Dubois' chin, they're talking about Dubois' stamina, Dubois' heart and willingness to go out there and achieve a win, but what has Jarrell Miller done? When have we ever seen Jarrell Miller show that kind of will to win against a noted puncher? You know, a guy who could keep him at long range behind a stiff jab and hit him with hard right hands. We've never seen that. All we've seen him fight is washed up fighters and guys half his size, you know? So it's going to be interesting. Shut up, laptop, making noises. All right, wait there. Upside down eggheads, no sloped forehead, no brow bone or brow bone, no deep set eyes, masterectomy to take off the breasts. The devil is real. Yeah, I know that, but yeah, the normies ruined the base stream as they always do. Still breathe. Yeah, I know. I was still breathing. I was trying to fix my computer. You know. Yeah, collapsed due to the boring press conference. Yeah, I just decided to watch it, and then 5 seconds later, I just pass out, and I'm like hyperventilating. That press conference was so boring. Yeah, yeah. Joshua's at the doorstep. That's it. Looking at Joshua during the whole fight, week build up, that there seems to idea AJ seemed a nervous or a little taken back. Wilder seems to be joyful. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I don't read into stuff like that because at the end of the day, when these guys get in the ring and one of them gets smacked in the mouth, none of that artsy fartsy armchair psychology stuff matters, even the slightest bit. So it doesn't matter, you know. Compared to what they give us, this is a Christmas present as far as I'm concerned. To be honest, I don't see this card as anything. I don't see it as anything even remotely impressive. Like we see cards like this all the time. It's just setup fights, you know. It's predetermined setup fights and mismatches, you know. Card is boring. We'll only watch the last three fights. Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's a boring card in my opinion. It's a good card as far as name value, but matchup wise, average. Yeah, there's no interest in matchups to me. It's all there's the A sides fighting a bunch of B-side opponents that have been brought in to lose, essentially. That's all the whole card is, you know? I think I think we're gonna see a couple of upsets this card. I don't think so. I don't think we'll even see one upset, but I'd be surprised if we saw one. I would. Or maybe Wilder will get out clean, all the while Joshua may have to fight, yeah. I just think both of them get a relatively comfortable win, you know, against an opponent that's been brought in for them, especially Wilder, because that's been the pattern of Wilder's whole career aside from the Fury fight, you know? Yeah, how's it going, Craig? God bless you. It's funny that Dubois and AJ call Miller a cheat, yet they both have high HGH knuckles. Oh yeah, they're all on roids. Every one of these top level heavyweights is on something, you know. All right, dude, give it a rest. Seriously, man, give it a rest. What are Nordic thoughts on this boxing card? As I've said already, I think it's a bunch of boring mismatches and setup fights. That's literally what this card is. It's a showcase. It's a bunch of guys who are supposed to win, guys like AJ, Beevil, Wilder, Dubois, Hergovich, and then a bunch of easy opponents. I don't see anything significant about this card. I will be very surprised if there's a single upset on this card, unless it's like Ajit Kebayel beating Makhmudov. I wouldn't be overly surprised by that. But aside from that, I'd be very surprised if there's a single underdog that wins, a single upset. You know, I don't think any of the underdogs will win personally. Opetaya is very, very good. I'd like to see a rematch with Briedis though, because that'd tell us whether or not that first win was a fluke. But based on that win alone, he's probably the number one cruiserweight right now. I mean, he would probably stop Billum Smith, as far as I'm concerned. Relatively weak division at the moment, though. Yeah, Miller's probably off the gear now, but I highly doubt that Dubois off the gear. You know, he's the A side, isn't he? That's the thing. The A sides are allowed to take what they want, but the B sides are subject to the rules of boxing. You know, where you got to be strenuously drug tested. All right. Where was I? Apparently, he's off the gear. Yeah. I'm curious to see what Bruce thinks are going to be the upsets. Maybe he did say Jarrell Miller. He thinks will win. I disagree, but that's his opinion. You know, Opetaya gets stripped by the IBF. Spence gets to hold the belt for years in a row. Imagine. Yeah, the IBF are very, very biased. Then again, they're nowhere near as biased as the WBC. The WBC is a lot worse, I think. I think they're by far the most corrupt sanctioning body. I think the IBF is a lot less corrupt. You know, still corrupt, but a lot less so than the WBC. I've been invited out Saturday night, so I'll probably miss the card, and I'm not even that bothered. Yeah, same. I'm not bothered either. I won't be watching it live. I mean, I'll probably catch highlights on YouTube or something, but I'm not watching the cards live. Not interested. I've got better things to do. I'll probably be playing Skyrim on Saturday night because I've got a holiday. That's me. After tomorrow, I finish work for my Christmas holiday, so got a few days off, can chill, play my Xbox. I won't be watching boxing. Not much anyway. Miller congratulated Dubois for losing his V card. Miller said in a BKM interview that 90% of UK boxers have a TUE. They do. Anthony Joshua has, and I've heard this from people very close to the British Boxing Board of Control. Because remember, guys, I know people in boxing, and some of them will remain nameless. But I know for a fact, I've heard from pretty good sources that Anthony Joshua has a TUE for testosterone. In fact, I think that's public information. You know, he gets certain testosterone therapy, and he has a TUE with UCAD, basically, in the British Boxing Board of Control. So, Jarrell Miller, a lot of what he said there is true, and there's ways of verifying it. You know, think Dubois wins personally. Yeah, I favour Dubois. Like I said earlier, look, Jarrell Miller. I'm not saying it's beyond the realms of possibility that Jarrell Miller can win the fight, that he can get in there, apply pressure, and force Daniel Dubois to quit on his stool. I'm not saying that won't happen, you know, but as far as I'm concerned, Jarrell Miller is a punching bag. You know, he's a big 300 plus pound fat guy who has got a good chin against smaller guys. You know, he can take a punch when he's fighting a cruiserweight or a guy who's half his size or a guy who's a washed up fringe contender who wasn't even that good in his prime. He looks great against those guys, right, in terms of durability and strength. And he's able to throw a lot of punches and break them down and stop them. But we've never seen Jarrell Miller in the ring with a big puncher or a guy who's even remotely world class. We've never seen him in the ring with anybody like that. So again, it's one thing being able to look that way against those guys, to be like a juggernaut. But you go in the ring with a puncher, a guy who's big, a guy who's strong, a guy who's athletic, who takes care of themselves, and a guy who is somewhat politically protected. Let's keep it real. I can't see him doing it. I think he's going to walk into shots. I think he's going to take so many punches from long range to the point where when he ever does get into a position where Daniel Dubois is struggling or he's able to get something going, he's just going to have taken way too many punches. And I think Dubois is going to stop him. I really do. Again, I wouldn't be overly surprised if that didn't happen, but that's just how I see it. I think it's a setup. You seen any footage of Arslanbek? I have seen some footage, and what I have seen, I've not been impressed by. I've never ever rated Arslanbek Makhmudov. I think he's so overrated. Don't rate him one bit. Just a big lump who can punch. That's about it, you know? I mean, who has he fought? It's similar to Jarrell Miller. Who has Arslanbek Makhmudov fought? And what has he done in his career that makes people think he's so dangerous and such a threat to the division? I just get David Price vibes from the guy. Again, he himself has never fought a puncher. He's never fought a world class fighter. He's never fought anybody in their prime. What has he done? I just don't see anything from the guy that impresses me. Yeah, it's all well and good fighting a washed up fighter like Carlos Takam and beating them. It's all well and good fighting some jobber, some journeyman, and knocking him out in the first round. But that doesn't really tell us anything. It doesn't tell us anything about his durability. It doesn't tell us anything about his stamina, about his boxing brain. Doesn't tell us about his ability to adjust. Doesn't tell us anything about his skills. We know nothing about the guy as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not overly impressed. I don't rate him one bit until I see something from him. Shout out to Smooth Critical. Good to see you here, bro. God bless you. The WBC has made Fury mandatory, which they promised for November. WBC not pushing for undisputed as well. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the WBC is probably the most corrupt out of all the sanctioning bodies. I mean, look what they did for Wilder. Look what they did for Adonis Stevenson. Letting him fight 5 years without a mandatory. Look at what they done for Canelo. They literally make belts for every Canelo fight. It's ridiculous, man. It really is. Does Joshua need TUE or unfairly has it? I've no idea whether he genuinely needs it or not. But even if he does, I mean, he's a young man in his early 30s. Why would he need testosterone replacement unless he destroyed his body with synthetic testosterone and whatever else he takes? More to the point, I think it's pretty obvious that Anthony Joshua is on steroids. I mean, just look at the guy, It is what it is. If it walks like a duck, it is what it is. Off topic, but what do you think of the journalist Peter Hitchens? I think he's very good. Don't know anything about him. I've heard the name, but I've never read any of his stuff, so I couldn't comment on that. I'd need to get back to you on it. Miller opened at 6-1, so the experts think Dubois wins, but the public are backing Miller, who is almost 2-1 now. I noticed that. See, because I went to the bookies just out of curiosity to look at that, and they had Miller massive, massive underdog. So, and Dubois was surprisingly such a big favorite. But I've noticed that the odds have narrowed, and I think that's because a lot of people on the internet just don't believe in Daniel Dubois, and they don't believe he has the heart or the balls or courage to get through it. Does he have the mental fortitude to go a hard 12 rounds with someone like Dubois, like Miller applying pressure? I don't know. No idea. A lot of people are not convinced by him, but I think he's going to win because I just don't rate Jerome Miller. Never rated him. I think the guy's an absolute punching bag. Yeah, shout out to Dennis from Boston. Good to see you here, bro. God bless you. Is it possible AJ got destroyed by Ruiz? Because I heard White suggest he was not allowed to take his TUE. Well, I've theorized that for a long time, and I actually spoke about that with people I know in boxing, and I brought up how when Anthony Joshua fought Ruiz in America, that was the first fight and only fight since of AJ's entire career where he did VADA testing and didn't have his state-sponsored, UCAD TUE. That was the only fight where he didn't have that. So it might explain why he wasn't able to recover. Because if you look at his previous fight with Povetkin, AJ got hit with some massive shots early on and was able to recover and come back and have a good performance and win the fight. I think we can all safely say Andy Ruiz does not hit as hard as Povetkin, and he's not as athletic as Povetkin. He's a big fat lump of shit. He's a big fat, slow-footed, relatively basic plodder, but a guy who is pretty dangerous because he's got quick hands and he can fight a bit inside. But AJ in that fight just didn't recover. He got dropped in the third round, and he never recovered from it. And one thing that they do say is that if you've gotten accustomed to taking steroids, and sometimes it's a psychological thing, but if you're on PEDs and you come off PEDs, one of the negative effects of that is your body can kind of shut down when it's put under pressure. So if you're put in a sort of an intense anaerobic situation and you don't have that extra oomph, you don't have that extra 5-10% that you need to perform, you can basically go into shock and you can run out of gas really quickly. It's kind of like if you've not been to the gym in a while, so you've not been doing any cardio, and then you start hitting the bag, you feel extremely lethargic and extremely sluggish, and that's because you haven't done it in a while, so you haven't had that constant stimulation. And it's similar with steroids. If you don't get if you don't stay on your cycle and take those PEDs, when you try to perform that same anaerobic movement, or you're in a tough fight and something happens that usually you need to recover from, your body might shut down. And that's exactly what happened in that fight. AJ shut down in that third round and he could never summon a performance from himself. He just couldn't recover. So I genuinely believe that drug testing had something to do with his performance that night. And let's not forget what happened in the build-up. Jarrell Miller, of course, got caught, and it was revealed Jarrell Miller had been on steroids for years, but that was the first time that he actually did genuine VADA testing. So it's not looking good for AJ. I mean, AJ is definitely, I don't even care, but he's definitely a PED user. I don't care what anyone says. There's far too much evidence against him. And again, just look at the guy. I mean, come on. Yeah, he's a big stiff. Yeah, he certainly is. If you're talking about Makhmudov, yeah, he certainly is. If we don't see upsets, I can see some knockdowns and some devastating smashes with all the heavyweights on the card. This is what makes it exciting for me. Yeah, I think there'll definitely be some knockouts. There'll definitely be some, highlight reel knockouts, without a doubt, and some knockdowns, I think. That's how I see Arslanbek. He looked so poor against Takam, then immediately started taking step downs. Yeah, don't rate him one bit. I don't think he goes anywhere. And even if he wins against Kabayel, and that's not an easy fight, I don't think he goes anywhere, if truth be told. He'll be an easy knockout win for one of the big names, Slow and predictable. I think Miller is going to get KO'd by Dubois. Yeah, I agree. Kinahan threatened WBC, you think? Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. But it rather than threatened, it's probably paid off more like, You think Canelo Benavidez will happen. If you had been up to date with that situation, I haven't followed that situation at all. I could see that fight happening though, because that's a very, very what was I going to say? Marketable fight, two Mexicans who have got a lot of hype. That's a massive fight. Let's be honest. The bookies suspect the bum is going to take the knee for BLM. Yeah, he might. You never know. You imagine it. From what I've seen, the best Caballero beats the best Makhmudov. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Gage started steroids when he was 17 years old. He loves that bodybuilder body. When he turned pro, he started working with Said Uman. Yeah, well, there you go. Look, I mean, do I really need to tell you guys that Anthony Joshua's on steroids? Do I really need to tell you guys that? It's so obvious. People suspect UCAD has reduced his TUE as well. Yeah, of course they have. It's I think Precise talked about this before. It's a state-sponsored doping program. That's what it is, basically. Lennox Lewis had something similar, from what I heard. All right, let me open another can because I'm getting bloody thirsty. Talking makes me so thirsty. Don't like doing it. I don't see any good fights on that card. I won't be watching. but I don't really watch much boxing anyway. Yeah, same. I barely watch it. Mate, I can't even remember the last time I watched a fight. No, 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 that's not actually true. When I was in the hotel last weekend, 'cause I stayed in a hotel with the missus in East Kilbride, I watched that Kubrat Pulev fight, that one against what's his name? Varshik, 'cause it was on YouTube. It just kind of a sparring session. Yeah, I watched that 'cause I had nothing else to do, I was bored. But I haven't watched any other recent boxing aside from that. Like, if I was at home, I probably wouldn't have watched it. You know, I'd have probably played my Xbox or something, but yeah, I had internet in the hotel, so I watched that. But yeah, I barely watch any boxing at all. Ruiz does not hit as hard as Klitschko or Povetkin. Yeah, of course, and AJ didn't react that way against Povetkin, did he? Or against Klitschko. He was able to recover against both of them. They reduced his TUE, and that's why Usyk wobbled him. Yeah, maybe. I do think he looked extremely juiced up in both Usyk fights, though. Ruiz had advantages over 39 Povetkin, much easier to underestimate, more durable, quicker hands, good counter punching and inside skill, much heavier. AJ panicked when he realized Lard was beating him. Yeah, but I do think Povetkin hits way harder than Ruiz. And he's also way more technically astute. Like, Povetkin's actually hard to hit. Ruiz is kind of just a stationary target, you know? And I don't think like AJ from the night that he fought Povetkin, I don't think would have lost to Ruiz. I think there was a big difference there. A big difference. And as far as Ruiz being more durable, I'm not even sure about that. Like, Ruiz hasn't really fought many punchers either, you know, and it's not as if he's never been dropped. He has, you know. And he was dropped a lot earlier than Povetkin was, you know, when he fought AJ. And in the second fight, he just did nothing for 12 rounds. My opinion, he didn't even come to win. AJ lost like 10% of his female followers on Insta when Ruiz smacked his roid head to the canvas. Yeah. Well, women like alphas, don't they? They don't like losers. You know, they like winners. And getting beaten up by a fat guy who's half your size, it doesn't look good, does it? You know. Shout out to Hawker Mustang. Been a while. Good to see you, bro. God bless you. Yep. Salute to Hawker. You ever played Witcher 3? Never played it. Never. I don't like the look of the Witcher franchise. There's something about now I like RPGs, don't get me wrong, and I do like some open world RPGs, but there's something about The Witcher that always puts me off. I think what it is with The Witcher, it looks to me like there's too much forced play, if you know what I mean. It doesn't really come across as a hardcore RPG. It doesn't come across as one where you can actually make your own decisions. And I know there is some decision making in the game, but it seems pretty superficial to me. You know, I prefer a RPG like, say, The Elder Scrolls, where you actually do um, create your own character. You make decisions in terms of what quests to do, and so many of them have different dialogue choices and stuff like that. The Witcher seems not really my cup of tea. Like, I prefer Elder Scrolls, you know. Ruiz did a Buster Douglas in the rematch as well as the first fight. History rhymes sometimes. Did he really do a Buster Douglas though? Or did he just walk around the ring for 35 minutes doing nothing? Because that's what I saw. I saw Anthony Joshua look extremely vulnerable that night, extremely passive aggressive, there for the taking. And I saw a guy who was in there to get paid, who just didn't give a crap in Ruiz. There was a lot of money on the line for that fight. There was a lot said in the build up about Anthony Joshua being a hype job and being done, and Ruiz being so great. But man, I just think Ruiz knew his role personally. I've seen the fight. It went how I predicted it to go. Let's not forget. I suspected it was a similar situation as the Kovalev versus Elidia Alvarez, where he just underestimated him, got took out, you know, ran out of gas, and then trained properly for the second fight and was able to just stick to his boxing and win. I think there's an element of that, but Andy Ruiz had a lot of opportunities in that fight that he didn't take because AJ was passive aggressive, and that actually made AJ worse than he was in the first fight in some ways. Like, let's not forget in the first fight, AJ had a lot of success in the first few rounds. He dropped Ruiz, he was hitting him cleanly. And in the second fight, he never made any attempt to kind of capitalize on that. He was just happy to run away and win on points. And Andy Ruiz showed the exact same mentality in that fight that he showed when he fought Joseph Parker. Like, when he realized he probably wasn't going to win on points, he just coasted and didn't put it all on the line to get the win. Ruiz doesn't strike me as the kind of fighter who will do whatever it takes to win. He strikes me as the kind of guy who is happy to go the distance, be a game loser, and get paid. That's just the vibe I get from Ruiz. He's not a winner. He's a game loser. He's one of those type of fighters. Definitely not a great champion. I swear this is a grilling AJ stream. Yeah, I've had a lot to say about Anthony Joshua in the past, but I'm not. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying anything that I can't justify about the guy. Ruiz might be serving a silent ban. A silent ban for what though? Yeah, shout out to Reverse Lee. God bless you, bro. God bless. Been playing Arkham Knight recently. Really fun. Lots of unnecessary nonsense like the Joker and Batmobile puzzle. Yeah, I was never a big fan of Arkham Knight personally. I'm actually reviewing that next year. But yeah, I was never a big fan of it. I thought the game was bloated. I thought it was repetitive. I thought it was absolutely jam-packed with just filler. And I don't think it was anywhere near as good as Arkham City. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think it was necessary. Arkham City is my favorite game in the series by far, and yeah, I don't think Arkham Knight was anywhere near as good because I think they kind of put all the Rocksteady put all the best ideas that they had into Arkham City, and I think the series pretty much peaked with that, and it never got any better, in my opinion. Fair enough, mate. Yeah, it's just not really my cup of tea. Buster put on over a stone in weight and was beaten easily against Holyfield. Like Douglas, Ruiz had mental problems throughout his career, though it's different in different ways. Ruiz debuted at about 300 pounds. Yeah, he did. He started just as heavy around about as he was when he fought AJ. And he lost weight as his career went on, but it kind of yo-yoed. But it's not the weight. It's not just the weight that's my point. My point about Ruiz, he's not a guy, and I explained this before. He's not a guy who is willing to put everything on the line to get the win. If you look at when he fought Joseph Parker, it was the same situation. He was away from home. Parker was the A side. He had some success early on. Parker was a little bit passive aggressive and a little bit sporadic in the way he fought. And in the later rounds of that fight, when it became pretty clear that Parker was just doing enough to win and he was a little bit ahead in the fight, Ruiz just sat behind his guard and didn't bother to apply pressure, didn't try to go for the knockout. Nothing. It was like he didn't care. And he didn't even look disappointed to lose. It was as if he was just happy to go the distance and to be a lucky loser. He's not a guy like Povetkin where if you're beating him, he's going to get inside. He's going to try and land his uppercuts. He's going to try and knock you out. He's going to sell out in order to win. And he can get dropped multiple times and still come back and keep heart. He's not that type of, he's not the type of guy where he would rather get knocked out than just sit back and leave it all in the ring and lose, if you know what I mean. That's kind of the vibe I get from Ruiz. And I just think going into that rematch, he didn't care. He didn't care about going out. Like, he'd already made his fortune. He already got paid for the first fight. He was guaranteed a massive sum of money for the rematch. And it's like, I'm done now. I don't need to do anything. That was the vibe I got from the later rounds. He was losing the fight. He knew he was going to lose the fight. And he wasn't willing to go out there and defend his title. He wasn't willing to put it all on the line to win. Here's what it is. Can you ask your UCAD friends if Fury has taken something? Well, let's just say yes, Fury has taken something and has been for many, many years. But we all you knew that already. I need I need to play games through the Arkham games. Only played Origins. Origins isn't the best one. It's okay. I'm reviewing that on Christmas Day, by the way. But yeah, Origins is okay, but it was nowhere near as good as the first two, in my opinion. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City were legendary. I think Arkham City is the best in the series. I actually was supposed, and some those of you who follow my gaming channel will know this. I was supposed to have a let's play for Arkham City uploaded this month, but sadly I got copyright claims from some BS company, so I've got to deal with that. So I'll probably have them uploaded either late January or early to mid February. But the let's play is done. I just need to. It's several hours long. You know, it's a long game, but yeah, I did 100% let's play of it, and I'll probably have it uploaded late January, early February, something like that. Do you think AJ will stop Wallin? It wouldn't surprise me if he did, but I think the most likely outcome is a points win because Otto Wallin, as overrated as I think he is, he has got a good chin and he can survive if need be. And if AJ is able to get into a position where he's ahead on points, he's keeping him at long range and he's winning the rounds, I can't see Otto Wallin being the type of person to go out on his shield, just like just like Andy Ruiz. So I think AJ, the smart money for me, like the most likely outcome is AJ on points. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if he stopped Wallen because AJ does have a lot of power. But I think the most likely outcome is AJ on points in a competitive but clear and relatively comfortable unanimous decision. So yeah, AJ on points, I'm going with. His wife leaked a video of him cleaning his old with an IV needle, which can be used to mask PEDs. Whose wife? Are you talking about Fury? Well, I mean, we all know Fury took nandrolone. We know that. You know, it's not even a secret. You know, we know it. Joseph Parker was part of an international meth ring. Yeah, I've heard about that. He's under investigation about that. So yeah, Parker's under investigation for smuggling drugs and that. That's why he had to get out of New Zealand. Now he's living in Morecambe with Fury. Yeah, he's like what living in Fury's garage or something. Imagine. Thoughts on the new Suicide Squad game, Clown Show? Yeah, I'm never buying that. Never. I'll never play it. Never in my life. Not interested in Suicide Squad. To be honest, I'm not interested in any modern games. If truth be told, I prefer old games. I'm a retro gamer. You know, retro gaming is my thing. The Arkham series as a whole is amazing. Yeah, personally, I have mixed feelings on it. I think the first two were great. I really do. I think the first two were great. I think the third one, which was a prequel, it was a fun game, but it was unnecessary. I don't think it needed to exist. Personally, I just think it was a cash grab. Then the fourth game, the final one, I thought was a massive letdown. I'm talking like a 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, massive letdown in my opinion because it was just bloated, unnecessary, and it didn't need to be there, you know? Would White, Ruiz, or Parker have beaten Wallin? I seriously doubt it. I agree AJ on points is most likely due to him being a big A side. I would actually favour Wallin over Ruiz stylistically. I think he'd win that on points. White, I'm not so sure about. To me, that's 50-50. Parker on a good night, like let's say Parker on his best night, I'd favour to beat Wallin on points. But Parker from say the Joyce fight or any of the fights where he's looked lethargic and like he didn't care, he could lose on points to Wallin. You know, I don't think Wallin would stop any of them. You know, Wallin's not really a puncher. He's just kind of like a textbook back foot boxer who relies on his fundamentals. But to me, he isn't that good. You know, he's a guy who's technically okay, but there's something about Wallin. He just doesn't seem to be a competitor to me. You know. Norman Stone is like if Rolf Stonefist was a boxing trainer. Yeah, yeah, I can see exactly what you mean there. So you mean Ruiz Jr.'s wife? Yeah, Ruiz. So Ruiz's wife was the one who leaked that information. Interesting. I didn't even know anything about that. I've not looked into it. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Peter Fury was a drug dealer. Yeah, for a long, long time, and he had Kinahan connections many years ago, by his own admission. You know, did time for it as well. Did a lot of time, in fact, as far as I'm aware. I need to watch your Red Dead 2 retrospective. Yeah, check it out if you want. It's on my channel. I pissed off a lot of normies with that one. It's funny, you should have seen some of the comments that never got approved from that video. There was a lot of swearing, a lot of like personal attacks. It was brilliant, man. It was funny. I wish YouTube allowed those comments. Shout out to Del Boy. Good to see you here. Blue Collar Sports TV. God bless you, bro. Superhero movies are a psyop. I'm convinced of it. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Wouldn't surprise me one bit because they're filled with propaganda and just imagery and whatnot. The plot got leaked for the Suicide Squad, and the way they kill Arkham Batman is a pathetic. They have Harley Quinn of all people shoot and kill Batman. Harley Quinn kill Batman. Yeah, right. Do you know what's funny? In Arkham City, you can smack Harley Quinn. You walk into the church and she tries to attack you, and you can just smack her. It's funny. Yeah, as if Harley Quinn could beat Batman. He literally, in every single interaction that they have, he just completely dismisses her and bitch slaps her out the way. You know, she's just the Joker's bitch, nothing more. Parker and White have no Southpaw experience, except Parker went 8 rounds with journeyman Southpaw Jason Bergman. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's right. I don't think White has fought a Southpaw, and if he has, he hasn't fought any of consequence. You know, he hasn't fought any that's dangerous. You know, AJ versus Fury, who you got Fury on points easily or late stoppage. I've always kind of felt Fury was all wrong for AJ. He just has too much natural athletic ability. You know. Harley came close to killing Batman in the animated series episode Mad Love, which infuriated the Joker. Yeah. Yeah, because the Joker like and Batman have this abusive relationship. You know, the Joker needs Batman. If he doesn't have Batman, he just would have nothing to do. He'd have nothing to occupy him. And Harley is really she's inconsequential to him. He doesn't care about her. She's literally just his bitch. You know, she's just his sex toy and his like punching bag. You know, he doesn't give a crap about her. Like the only thing Joker gives a crap about is playing cat and mouse with Batman. Essentially, that's it. Having Harley kill Batman is disrespectful to Kevin Conroy. Yeah, yeah, he died, didn't he, a while back? What was it, last year or a couple of years ago? I can't remember. Wasn't that long ago though. He did die relatively recently. But yeah, shout out to the animated series, by the way. That series was awesome. I enjoyed it. But then again, Harley nearly killing Batman. You know, a lot of people nearly kill Batman, and he's all right in the end. He always gets out of it. Think Kevin had AIDS. Oh, did he now? Interesting. Did he get AIDS from a contaminated needle or from something more nefarious? I wonder. Yeah, I don't know much about Kevin Conroy. All I know is he's a voice actor and he voiced Batman. That's about it. That's all I know about the guy. And yeah, he what do you call it? He reprised his role in the Arkham games from the animated series. Sodomy. Ah, well there you go. There you go. I mean, you need to be careful with these things, man, because engaging in that sort of behavior can lead to diseases, you know. So it's a big mistake. Shout out to JT. God bless you, bro. God bless you. I mean, when will people learn? You would think it wouldn't take a genius to know that penetrating a sphincter with your penis would cause problems. You know that there would be some sort of, you know, and ingesting feces with another man. You know, it wouldn't take a genius to know that that's undignified behavior and toxic and dangerous, harmful behavior. You know, but some people just don't have any common sense, do they? Or they do have common sense, but they get brainwashed by propaganda and the media, you know? But yeah, let's not have this be a repeat of my previous stream. Let's not talk about Corys and anal sex and stuff. Let's talk about something more fun like boxing, you know? But yeah, where was I? Oh, all the comments have stopped. I think I put everybody off. So what do I talk about? Um, one sec. AJ versus Fury. Yeah. All I've ever thought about that fight really is you got one guy in Fury who's kind of a natural athlete. He can move around the ring. He can go 12 rounds, and he's got good timing. And then you got a guy like AJ who's kind of a manufactured fighter. You know, he's a bodybuilder and a guy with heavy hands and power. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility he could win. Like he could catch Fury and knock him out, but would he do it? I mean, I doubt it very much. I think it's very, very like a 10% chance, maybe 20% if I'm being generous. You know, the depopulation agenda is real, which is why they want us to take vaccines and push LGBT so we get AIDS and die. Yeah, yeah, of course it is. I mean, look. I've been saying this for years. Of course, it's depopulation. You know, I'm back. Oh, you're back. Good to see you here. Yeah, the party doesn't start until Boxing Fan comes back. You know. Yeah. I saw your movie review on Nefarious. I've been wanting to check that movie out for a while now. Very, very good movie. I enjoyed it very much. Again, it's a movie that I don't think everybody will enjoy. I think some people will be put off by how like simplistic and minimalistic it is, but just the type of person I am and the things I'm interested in, that movie really, really appealed to me. I really enjoyed it personally. That was my favorite movie of the year. My second favorite was probably the George Foreman movie. But yeah, I really like that. I also watched that movie, The Shift. That one was okay. I mean, it wasn't as good as Nefarious, in my opinion, but it was okay. It was interesting, at least, you know. The Killing Joke, the Dark Knight Returns, and Arkham Asylum are all excellent Batman comics, though this may be dismissed as a bit of a normie comic fan opinion. Personally, I'm not a fan of the Killing Joke. Wasn't that written by Alan Moore? That guy's a degenerate commie, you know? But yeah, The Killing Joke, I never liked the story of The Killing Joke. I always found it a little bit, I don't know, a little bit contrived, a little bit forced. And the whole thing about Joker crippling, what do you call it? Crippling Barbara Gordon. And it's been a while since I checked that out, but I just think that whole thing was a little bit pretentious, you know, like everything that Alan Moore produces. You know, that guy's a commie degenerate, and he also has a rape fetish. That's another thing about Alan Moore. I think it was Alan Moore who wrote The Killing Joke. Anyway, am I wrong about that? I think it was him. But yeah, he has a fetish for flipping rape and all that stuff. And I don't know, I don't like anything that he produces, if truth be told. The Dark Knight Returns. I haven't read the novel, but I haven't read the comic, sorry, but I've seen the movie and that sucked. I didn't like it one bit. And from what I have heard about the comic, it was gun control propaganda. That's what I've heard about it. I think Fury lost his legs, so AJ chances. Well, he hasn't lost his legs. He's not as quick as he was, but he hasn't lost his legs. He can still move like quicker than AJ. I, well, there probably is a cure, but they wouldn't release it because that they don't want people to. They don't want people to be cured of it. They want depopulation, like the other guy said. I doubt Joshua Fury ever happens for many reasons. Joshua couldn't stop losing, yeah. Well, to be honest, that wouldn't be one of the main reasons. Fury likes fighting losers. I mean, he fought Chisora, didn't he? So, how many losses did he have? But yeah, does George Foreskin support BLM? I saw him take the I don't know if he does or not, but I enjoyed the movie. I've seen clips of it and the stuff the demon that possesses the prisoner talking about abortion and how the elites and celebrities do all these sacrifices makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that was a great movie, by the way. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but check that movie out. Very, very good. Easily the best movie of the year, in my opinion. Have you played Spider-Man 2? It's ridiculous. Oh, I know about it, and I also know who wrote it. The script for that game. was written by a company called Sweet Baby Inc. Look up that company, um, Sweet Baby Inc. And it was they're funded by BlackRock. Look up BlackRock, who that is. You're correct about Moore's authorship. There's significant textual evidence that he raped Barbara. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Alan Moore is obsessed. He's obsessed with that. He's obsessed with rape. It's a fetish that he has. And if you look at any of his novels, any of his comic, it's always filled with weird rape imagery. Like he's just obsessed with it. You're silly. Conroy died of colon cancer, did he? Oh, it's kind of similar. I don't know shit about Conroy. It was Smooth Critical who said he died of sodomy. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Kiddie Diddlers write the scripts for all these films and games. Yeah, and also see if you look at Sweet Baby Inc. and their website. Look at the symbol. Look at the symbol on their website. What does that look like to you? As if the name itself, Sweet Baby Inc., wasn't strange enough, you know. I mean, as if the symbol wasn't suspect enough. Or as if the name wasn't. Look at the symbol. It's literally the man boy lover symbol or whatever you call it. And they're funded by BlackRock. That tells you everything. You heard wrong about Dark Knight Returns comic. The movie wasn't as good as the comic, which was written by far rightist Frank Miller. I've never read the comic, but from what I've heard, it promotes anti-gun essentially. But I don't know. I've never read it, but I've seen the movie, and the movie was garbage. I thought terrible. My personal opinion. It's no wonder why the critics didn't like any movie with Christian elements and exposing stuff isn't well received by critics. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, you wonder why, say if you look at like mainstream critics and sites like Rotten Tomatoes, you wonder why they even bother to review Christian movies, because by telling people this movie's terrible, it's far right, this, that, and the, this, that, and the other, that's just going to convince people to watch it. Because the critics are saying it's bad and it's far right and it's based and all that, well, we're going to want to see it, aren't we? It would be better if they just ignored it completely and didn't give it any promotion. But again, we're dealing with emotionally retarded idiots, aren't we, in regards to the left and normies, you know? I don't see any reason why the Joker wouldn't commit rape. He's a totally amoral psychopath. Oh, of course he would. I mean, the guy would kill anybody for any reason. Like the Joker is unpredictable in the sense that he'll shoot his own men. He'll just completely screw anybody over for any reason, and there's not always any sort of pattern recognition with the Joker. All he cares about is his relationship with Batman. Going back and forth. That's all he cares about. And again, Alan Moore has this weird thing. Like if you've ever read Watchmen or any of the other stuff that Alan Moore's involved in, the guy's a communist, and he also believes in basically starving the population in order to depopulate them. And he just has this weird thing about rape. It's a fetish, And you just look at the guy. The guy's an absolute weirdo, How you reckon they will legalize degeneracy apart from the LGBT movement? Well, all they need to do is keep adding things to the LGBT movement. I mean, look at organizations like Antifa, NAMBLA, and all these other degenerates that support pedophilia, right? And they want to lower the age of consent. They want to normalize people or desensitize them to the idea of kids being groomed in school, and look at how just look at how violent they get towards anybody who criticizes it. A parent who doesn't want their kid being taught about anal penetration in school is a far right extremist who basically needs to be thrown in prison, and their kids need to be taken off them and put with a sodomite couple. Look at me talking about Corey's when I said I wouldn't, eh? Do you know what I'm gonna do? Let me do a little experiment here. I'm gonna have a look on. I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna look on my video manager, and this better not break my internet connection. And I'm gonna have a look and see if this has been demonetized, because you can actually check. See, when you're doing your live stream, you can actually check if you've been demonetized. I'm gonna check that. Not that I care. I'm just gonna have a look and see. curiosity, Sorry, it takes a while to load up, especially when I'm running StreamYard. Oh, we haven't. So we haven't been demonetized yet, but the night is young, eh? All right. I had both Pfizer vaccines. Oh yeah, you're screwed, man. You're absolutely screwed. I'm sorry. It's been nice knowing you. Neil Druckmann, yeah, Neil Cookman is another Jew who has a weird LGBT fetish. Yeah, he just does what he's told. Neil Druckmann is just a corporate shill. Like Naughty Dog is owned by Sony, so they're not the same Naughty Dog that made Crash Bandicoot. They're just a corporate propaganda spewing degenerate company owned by BlackRock. So BlackRock is essentially the largest firm that funds all these projects. I don't think, and well, yeah, normies are worth talking to, but they're not worth arguing with because they'll never learn. They don't want to learn. They're willfully ignorant. Joker is one of Batman's villains that I never understood. Batman never just killed. Well, it's not even just that, and I talked about this in my Let's Play for Arkham Asylum. All Batman ever had to do is kneecap him, or just cripple him, or lobotomize him, or something, and then they could throw him in prison, and he's fine. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever for Batman to let the Joker continue to be able-bodied and walk the street. He doesn't kill him because he's a righteous man. He doesn't believe in murder. Whatever he might say, he's a God-fearing man, but there's no reason why he can't cripple the Joker, especially when he cripples the Joker's goons and beats them to a pulp. His non-lethal street justice. But it doesn't make any sense that he allows him to continue to break out and to commit acts of terrorism and murder without at least taking precautions to prevent that from happening. Which is why a villain like the Punisher, or sorry, a hero like I almost said villain there, a hero like the Punisher, or a hero like Rorschach makes a lot more sense. They're kind of a more extreme version of Batman. They have that same righteousness, that same righteous authority and righteous anger, but they don't have the same self righteousness that Batman has, where he won't allow himself to do what needs to be done to stop them. It's a different sort of philosophy they have to him. Hergovich versus Damori, Opataya versus Zorro, and Beevil versus Arthur are awful fights. All mismatches. Every single one of them is a hilarious mismatch. Is what it is. Joker rapes an old Selina Kyle in The Dark Knight Return and dresses her up in a Wonder Woman costume. Yeah, that sounds exactly like something that Alan Moore would would come up with in his own head. The public school system is a cesspool of liberal and sodomite propaganda. Yeah, I would never feel comfortable sending my kid to school in this day and age. No chance. Triple B ran off as soon as there was no Corey talk. Yeah, he needs this Corey talk to function, innit? Where is Triple B? I want to see him. Batman either doesn't kill Joker because he's an irrational moral fanatic, or because he actually loves the back and forth with the Joker, like an arsonist who also puts out fires. That's an interesting way of looking at it. And I think several people in the community, in the fandom, have suggested that Batman is kind of addicted to it. He's addicted to the vengeance. He's addicted to his back and forth with Joker, and he just can't let go of it because when Joker finally does die, like Batman's never the same. He kind of is dead inside, like he was when he lost his parents. It's interesting. It's an interesting way of looking at it. We'll get look DW. You will most likely get through. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You might survive, despite the dosage. The ending of The Killing Joke is interesting in this regard. Does he kill Joker or embrace him? I think he kills him personally. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's funny how in the film The Killing Joke, which it was a little bit different to the novel, but in the film he just like bursts out laughing, and that's how it ends. I'm just it was so bizarre and tonally weird. If it was like Batman just cracked, like he went absolutely mental, just descended into madness. I can see I can see, but I was surprised when I found one that does not drink and they've been sober for ages. Remember MTK Global, the sponsor of everything having to do with boxing in the UK? Then overnight they disappeared because of the Kinahan charges. Yeah, yeah, they were everywhere. They were even selling hoodies in Sports Direct and that MTK hoodies. It was quite funny. They were everywhere, and now all of a sudden they've just vanished. MTK were scum, man. They were just absolute degenerate, like criminal scum. Let's be honest about it. Here's what it is. Batman kills Joker in The Dark Knight Returns, but can't admit it to himself. Hallucinates Joker killing himself when he's bleeding out. Yeah, yeah, that made absolutely zero sense. Like the Joker, what is it? He breaks his own neck. He just turns his head and breaks his own neck. Yeah, right. Batman is just he's just a maniac. He lost the plot. And let's not forget that was a senile old Batman who didn't have a clue what he was doing. But there was a lot about that didn't make sense to me. Did you hear about the mass shooting in Prague? 10 people that no, heard nothing about it. Don't know anything about it. Yeah, heroes like the Punisher and Red Hood made the most sense. Yeah, Red Hood. I forgot to mention him. Under the Red Hood, that's probably my favorite Batman movie, Under the Red Hood. And Red Hood, he's very similar, like you say, to the Punisher or Rorschach. A guy who cleans up the streets and has a kind of an Old Testament style approach to justice. He doesn't tolerate crime at all, and he punishes it with extreme prejudice. He's kind of the opposite of Batman in that sense. The Red Hood is because Batman is partially responsible for Robin's fate. So the Red Hood absolutely has every right to be angry with Batman and to try to pick up where Batman failed and try and improve on his failings. Normies don't realize the damage the drink is doing. Yeah, of course they don't. They've got to have a drink every weekend so that they can go back to their lives and function. Yes, my brother, what's going on? Oh, shout out to Triple B. God bless you, bro. We were just talking about you because we were starting to develop some Corey talk. What's going on with Gay J? He seems to be like a zombie or a clone staring into space. Probably too many steroids, man. The steroids have gone to his head. He's like Bane, isn't he? Too many steroids. In The Killing Joke, which is less ambiguous than the comic, the Joker's laughter tails off much sooner. Batman definitely kills him there, and Joker certainly rapes Batgirl in the film. Yeah, it was definitely implied. Without a doubt, it was implied. Because again, Alan Moore has a rape fetish, is what it is. I wonder if they will legalize the drink in Saudi. They already done it partly in Dubai. Oh, without a doubt, because it's becoming imperialized, isn't it? So yeah, they're gonna have to, aren't they, for the economy? Technically, Batman is insane. He just uses it. Yeah, Batman, he is insane. He's basically he's dead inside. That's the thing with Batman. When he lost his parents, he was never the same person. Like that's what they say. It's kind of the old cliche. But Bruce Wayne, he is the real mask. Batman is the real person. You know, he's a dead inside psychopath basically, but one who's self righteous. Kind of thing. My powers have doubled since we last met, Count. Ah, yeah. Well, you're about to get bitch slapped, Anakin. My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count. Have you condemn Hamas? You think of the conflict you side with. I don't side with anybody in that conflict because I don't know anything about it. It could easily be a series of carefully constructed false flags, to justify what Israel's doing in that part of the world. You never know. You never know. Batman can't take the guilt for killing Joker, breaking his rule against cold-blooded killing, and knowing he could have done it years ago, caused guilt. I've murdered so many by letting you live. Yeah, that's what he says. He's like, I never kept count. I did. Which is true. But Batman let it happen. He has to take responsibility for it. And that was Red Hood's argument, was not because he says something about not only did you not prevent me from dying by killing the Joker when you had many chances to do so, but Joker's still alive, even though he took me away from you. That was really sad, I thought. A lot of them mess even in their 20s and 30s, you can see it in their face. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it takes it out of you, doesn't it? It ages you quickly. I think Qui-Gon would have joined Dooku. It looked like Qui-Gon started to resent the Council during the Phantom Menace. He would have, without a doubt. Qui-Gon, um, he was basically a grey Jedi. That's what he's known as in the lore. You know, he doesn't subscribe to the doctrine of the Jedi. He understands the Force. He understands Jedi teachings, and he follows it to an extent. But he doesn't fully subscribe to the doctrine that the council propagate, and that's why he was never like he was able to become a master. But despite his accomplishments and his experience and his qualifications, he was never able to ascend to becoming a member of the council. You know, he was never able to do that, and that's simply because he wouldn't conform. You know, in A Death in the Family, Batman has let Joker rape and cripple Barbara in the past and kill Robin, yet Batman doesn't kill him, and he continually recruits more child soldiers for Joker to target. Yeah, yeah, he does. Like that's the thing which is messed up about Batman too is when Robin dies, he just replaces him with another Robin, you know, which I think is pretty messed up. You know, I mean, how does that feel for the older Robin? You know, like it's supposed to be his son, but he allows him to be in that sort of danger. You know, will Turkey AJ shake take a dump on? Oh, right, right. Al Sheikh take a dump on AJ after the fight. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, wouldn't be surprised one bit. You know, AJ in the post did show he had some sort of mental fortitude in the Klitschko fight, but after his first career loss, he's never been the same mentally. Yeah, I think AJ needs hard sparring sessions. That's what he needs, and that's what he's getting. And I think that's what he's gonna get in the Wallin fight. You know, I saw your character profile on Anakin Vader. In my opinion, I think he's the best villain in all of fiction. I agree, he is. And to me, he's a villain who has an ideology which I personally totally understand. I don't necessarily agree with it fully, but I totally understand it. It makes perfect sense to me, you know. Dooku probably would have been a good master for Anakin because he's more rational than Palpatine and would have channeled Anakin's aggression whilst also knowing how to wipe out the Sith for good. Yeah, that's true. See, the sad thing about Dooku though is he was kind of manipulated by Palpatine, and basically he had a political ideology of his own, and he kind of saw the Sith and Palpatine as a means to an end. But the problem with the Sith is that they always have the rule of two, and the novelization talks about how Dooku and Palpatine work together in order to bring Anakin over to their side. But you get the sense that Dooku didn't really understand the rule of two, and he didn't understand that Palpatine would essentially sacrifice him to Anakin and replace him. He kind of thought that they would build up the Sith Order and rule the Empire together, but he didn't realize that he, as an old man who's past his prime and you know won't be around forever, was going to be replaced by Anakin. You know, because he thought he could become the Dark Lord of the Sith and that he could usurp Palpatine and take over. But what he failed to see that he was too old, and Palpatine was ready to sacrifice him and use him as a test for Anakin. You know, and that was what he did. It's a shame. I feel bad for Dooku. Plus the Ibiza Morocco holidays don't. Oh yeah, that's one thing I've never understood is that like debaucherous lifestyle. You know, you go on holiday to like Spain or wherever just to get pissed and be a degenerate. You can get pissed and be a degenerate anywhere. You don't need to go on holiday for it. You know, took me away from you sounds vaguely homoerotic, which the creators would have been aware of given the various criticisms of Batman and Robin. The female Robin in The Dark Knight Rises was interesting in that regard. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That it was a lot more subtle back then than what you get from like Neil Druckmann, isn't it? But there was definitely erotic stuff there when you look into it a little bit deeper, you know. But again, what's disturbing about it is it's supposed to be a father-son like relationship. Robin is supposed to be Batman's surrogate son. So if it's homoerotic, you can tell that there's like nonsense, like Alan Moore writing the stories. You know, if you watch Tales of the Jedi, Dooku's turn makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it does. It does make a lot more sense. And what drove him over the edge was the death of Qui-Gon, that because Qui-Gon was Dooku's like protege, you know, and he was hoping to bring him over to his side, but when Qui-Gon died, he blamed the Jedi Council and he left the Order and became a political idealist, you know. You're not doing no videos tonight. You're not doing no videos tonight. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Sonny Edwards. God bless him. I think the AJ Klitschko stoppage was early. Well, yeah, because if you look at it in slow motion, most of the punches were either being blocked or missing. So definitely was, but that's Klitschko's fault for doing that when he's away from home, you know? Yeah, he'll do a video tonight. Robin's parents were killed when he was young. So Batman sees Robin in himself, like he can parent himself. Batman is also mentally retarded, stuck at 9 years old, because that's when his parents died. Yeah, so he's not a good father figure in that regard. You know, he's a toxic father figure because he never had a father figure growing up himself, and that's where you'll notice that's a common theme in fiction, and it was the same with Anakin. It's the same with a lot of these characters. A lot of them, like Voldemort had this problem too, as well as Anakin. Like they grow up without a consistent father figure in their life, or they have a toxic relationship with their father, and they basically cling to any potential male role model they can, and they constantly get let down. And that's kind of what you see with Batman and Robin. You see a toxic father son relationship, you know, but like a surrogate father son relationship. No, I've never been to Ibiza. Never been there. Probably never go there either, you know. Yeah, shout out to Larry. God bless you, bro. I wonder if Dooku wanted Anakin and Obi-Wan to he did. He did. He wanted them both to join. He tried to recruit Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan was too blind and short-sighted to see, and he was still kind of obsessed with the he was kind of obsessed with the Jedi Council and their doctrines, you know. Otto all-in, wall-in will oil drill Gage. Probably not. He'll probably try here and there, but I don't think he'll get to him, you know. I think AJ will wear his big boy pants, you know. Star Wars talk. My favorite was always Kit Fisto. Got sold short in Revenge of the Sith when he tried to arrest Palpatine. Should have put up a far better fight. Yeah, Kit Fisto. I used to have a toy of him. He was quite cool. He's a funny character. Doesn't get much to do in the movies. Like you say, he was kind of killed off in kind of a pathetic way. That's another one of them like cliches with Star Wars. Like they kill off seemingly important characters in such pathetic ways, and it's even worse with villains. You know, like Boba Fett, for example, and Jango Fett. Like they always get killed off in these like BS Star Wars villain deaths, where it seems like it was done by accident. You know, and dim-wittedness. It's a weird theme with the movies. You know. Dooku was similar to Qui-Gon, both sort of grey knights, smarter than just being black or white. Exactly. That's exactly what Dooku was like a more extreme and more experienced version of Qui-Gon, you know? Which makes perfect sense because he practically raised Qui-Gon. Dooku was Qui-Gon's master. Qui-Gon was Dooku's apprentice. Kit Fisto was so badass during the Clone Wars cartoon, and then he was treated like cannon fodder in the films. Yeah, that's a common theme. Same with General Grievous. He was a badass in the original Clone Wars series. Then he was like just a joke in the movie, but it was a funny joke, you know. I just hate how we live in a world where Last of Us Part 2 exists. I hope vaccines take me. Yeah, I hope the vaccines take me. I will never play to be honest, I never played the first Last of Us either. I have absolutely no interest in that series. I've no interest in any Naughty Dog game from the past like 10 years, you know, or anything associated with BlackRock or Sweet Baby Inc., you know. Batman is a bachelor, never seen with women in private in some versions. Could easily be with Selena, but would rather live alone in his mansion with his butler. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. He's a child. He's mentally a child. Qui-Gon warned the Jedi about the Sith, and the Jedi didn't listen because they were arrogant. That's what finally drove Dooku over the edge, because it could have all been prevented. Yeah, the Jedi sat in their temple and did nothing. They basically sent Qui-Gon with an inexperienced apprentice, Obi-Wan, to fight a war essentially in Naboo, and they did nothing. That they took no action to prevent any of the suffering or or degeneracy that took place anywhere in the galaxy. They just hoarded and consolidated power. And that's why Dooku left the organization. And it's why Anakin exterminated the organization. You know, he took the disagreement even further. He saw the Jedi as evil. See, Dooku saw them as misguided and arrogant and blind and clueless and useless. Anakin saw them as evil and as perpetuating and consolidating evil. You know, basically stopping anybody from fighting against it. You know, yeah, exactly. He even disarmed Grievous in the Clone Wars, who he was unlucky not to beat Obi-Wan. Yeah, yeah, he was. Imagine how different things would have been if Darth Maul killed Obi-Wan. I wonder if Dooku would have hunted down Palpatine and Darth Maul. He might have, you know, because if that had happened and if Qui-Gon never died, or if Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon had both died, Dooku would have had to have been more proactive, and due to the rule of two, and with Darth Maul being considerably more athletic and skilled and easier to train than Dooku was due to his age and his experience with the Jedi, it would have been likely that Dooku and Palpatine would never have linked up. But I do think Dooku would have become a political idealist, and he would have definitely had some dealings with the separatists, you know. At least I think so. Yeah, Arnold as Mr. Freeze, like, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! I love that movie, by the way. It's so funny. So funny. Qui-Gon was a surrogate father for Anakin, then immediately killed off. Obi-Wan then takes on that role reluctantly. Exactly. You see, when you gain and lose caregivers as a young man, that can, and even as a young woman, that can easily cause borderline personality disorder. You know, because if you don't have a stable relationship with parents and you gain and lose caregivers, and they end up abusing you and treating you poorly, which is what Obi-Wan did. He was somewhat abusive to Anakin, and not by his own choice. It was just how things worked out. He was too young and inexperienced to be a father. It can cause serious problems. It can cause like daddy issues, borderline personality disorder, and that's kind of what happened to Anakin. You know. Yeah, Obi-Wan was like Anakin's oldest brother, but what he needed to be was a father. He needed a father. He would have turned out a lot better if he had it, you know? Dooku didn't want Obi-Wan to join, and there's a scene in Attack of the Clones where he tried to recruit Obi, and Obi was too arrogant to hear Dooku out. Yeah, he was. And Dooku never lied to him either. He told everything he told him in that scene was true, but Obi-Wan didn't want to hear it. He would rather continue to live by the ridiculous, shady doctrine of the Jedi, and just blindly listen to them instead of listening to reason and logic, you know? Star Wars is interesting. Why we don't get films like that anymore? Now they be lazy and make modern remastered versions. Yeah, modern movies are nowhere near as interesting or as complex as they used to be. You know, movies in the past were so much better. Same with video games. You know, there was more creativity and more interesting. Any interest in making Star Wars videos or channels you like? I might make some more Star Wars videos on my gaming channel because I'm planning to review a whole bunch of Star Wars video games. I might start that next year, and I might even do some character profiles. There's a few characters from the Star Wars series that I would like to talk about in a video and do a proper long, interesting retrospective on things they did in the series and just do sort of a psychological breakdown. I'm not great at that kind of stuff, but I am learning, and it does interest me. Like the psychology of fictional characters does interest me, and there's certain things we can learn from it. You know, I do like to engage in that from time to time. Where do I start to watch Star Wars? Check out the original trilogy and watch the what do you call it, the prequels. Don't watch the Disney movies. The Disney movies are not canon. So anything after 2014, don't watch it. Anything after the series got sold off, basically. I'm convinced Grievous was paid off to not beat Obi-Wan, had him hanging off the edge of his life, and let him climb up and must have. been some shady stuff in the contract. Yeah, yeah. General Grievous was like versus Obi-Wan. It was like a Deontay Wilder fight, wasn't it? It was like you get hit with the right hand and you go down. You know, if you watch Clone Wars and Rebels, you realize how tragic Maul's life is to do Palpatine. Yeah, yeah, exactly. He does have a tragic backstory. Same with Grievous. Grievous lost his entire family to the Republic, or the Republic. This is why Grievous joined the Separatists. His entire planet and his entire species was wiped out by a race that was protected by the Republic, essentially. So Grievous became a hunter and vowed to eradicate the Jedi. And in order to do that, he had to join the Separatists, and he became one of their generals. Watching Nathan Drake get tossed around by Nikolai Valuev in drag was pretty symbolic of how Naughty Dog is doing. Yeah, I will never ever watch that ever. I mean, I'll never play that ever. I don't care what anyone. You couldn't pay me £1 million to play that game. I wouldn't do it. I see a trend where a lot of channels are trying to encourage people to bet on the underdogs on this card. They aren't coming. Yeah, look, there's a lot of people in the without naming any names. There's people in the YouTube boxing community who I am very, very suspicious about. When I see these certain channels posting videos, these channels have just started to take off suspiciously. And they're saying, this guy might win. Oh, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, they might lose. These fights are very, 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 very dangerous for them. And I'm just like, who's sponsoring these channels? Is it Ladbrokes? Is it one of the bookies? Is it I don't know, man. Like I'm let's just say I'm suspicious. I've said too much already. I don't want to be pointing fingers, but I'm suspicious. Obi-Wan was the most effective Jedi, though, whereas Yoda was the least. Palpatine consistently underestimated Obi-Wan. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Obi-Wan was a badass. I mean, the guy made a lot of silly mistakes, but he was a great fighter. He was able to defeat Darth Maul, surprisingly. Count Dooku should have handed Obi-Wan some death sticks during that hostage. Yeah, he have some death sticks, and we'll just chill out and we'll talk about politics, and we'll come to some sort of agreement. We have reached an agreement here. Do you guys ever play the Phantom Menace on the PS1? That game is hilarious. It's the funniest thing ever. You can like mass murder the Gungans as Obi-Wan and still complete the level. You can murder Anakin's mum as Palpatine and still complete the level. It's so funny. Sorry, as Qui-Gon. So funny. Hope you get the weights video done as well. Looking forward to you breaking the old school floor. Yeah, I'm gonna do that video at some point next year because still got a lot of work to do. I did a training session yesterday and I'm absolutely knackered. It's my last training session for the year because my coach said that he's going to shut the gym. Like he opened the gym a little bit longer than usual because I paid a monthly membership, and it was only me and one other person that have been going this month. So, well, for the most part, and he kept the gym open a little bit longer, but he's shut in until just after New Year. So I'm going back probably the 3rd of December, and I can get started on sort of my data because I want to do that video. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to doing that because it'll give me something interesting to do for the channel, something where I can practically observe something and make a proper video that I think someone could learn something from. So I'm looking into doing that. Anakin had great power but low IQ. He was like a himbo. Yeah, Anakin. See, the best way to describe Anakin is he wasn't an intellectual, but he had an ideology, if you know what I mean. He had an ideology and a worldview that made perfect sense, but he wasn't fit to be a leader. He needed more guidance than what he had. He was never that intelligent, but he was very, very um, morally righteous in a way. A little bit too morally righteous for his own good. If that makes sense. And that's why he interests me so much as a character. Machete Order Star Wars. Rogue One is the best of the new films. Rise of Skywalker was so predictable. I didn't like Rogue One. It was better than The Last Jedi, but I didn't like it. I didn't watch Rise of Skywalker. I'm never want to watch it. I refuse to watch it. Dooku and Anakin still had a chance, but someone like Maul never had a chance. Palpatine took him from his home when he was a boy, and he was only taught nothing but to hate and lost everything. Yeah, yeah, he was just basically an assassin. That's all he was. He was a born killer, Darth Maul. He was an assassin, you know. Thinking about it now, why didn't the Trade Federation just create an army of battle droids exactly like General Grievous? Yeah, I think it would be very difficult because Grievous was kind of a cyborg. You know, he wasn't technically a battle droid. He was an alien, and he let's not forget before he even became a cyborg, he was already a badass. Like he was an elite level sniper. You know, he was able to take out Jedi with just a bolt action rifle. Like he came from a very primitive race of warriors that were basically wiped out, and he became hateful towards the Jedi because he blamed them for it, for allowing it to happen. You know, so like Anakin, he developed a hatred for the Jedi, and he joined the Separatists and became their general. And it wasn't until he got badly injured and was on the verge of death that he was rescued by cybernetics, and he used those cybernetics to constantly improve himself and you know, add upgrades to what he had. You know, but I don't think they would have been able to mass produce that. I think it was kind of unique to what they were able to do with the resources they poured into Grievous. You know, it would have been difficult to recreate it many times over, you know. Because remember, the battle droids are mass produced, whereas Grievous wasn't. He was kind of a one off. Hopefully, Jarrell Miller and Dubois will at least be a real fight. Yeah, I doubt it too. I doubt it too. But it's more chance of that being a real fight than the main events, you know. Hey, hit the nose. Yeah, the pit droid. That's a noise they make, isn't it? Inoue has looked great in the Tapalas camp. Do you think Tabalas will prove tougher than Donaire? Probably tougher than Donaire from the second fight, but not so much the first fight. I think Donaire in the first fight would probably have beaten Tapalas. Nordic, which fight do you best give the underdog a chance of winning? I possibly think Cabello versus Makhmudov could be interesting. Seeing as Makhmudov struggled with Takam, the odds are so wide. I wouldn't be at all surprised. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if Cabello won that fight. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. That's probably the only fight on the card where I think that where I think that there's an interesting chance of an upset. You know, but I haven't seen enough of both guys to make an informed prediction. So the odds are what they are on that one, you know. Maybe the bookies know more than me. Who knows? You think the old school were wrong? You think to some? Are you on about with weightlifting? I think weightlifting has its place in boxing, but it has to be done for the right reasons. You know, you don't want to be lifting weights to bulk up and get a six pack and big biceps. You want to be lifting weights to get physically stronger. So you need progressive overload, and you need to do it to a you need to do it to a schedule. You need to know how to balance it out to where you can still do your boxing training and still build up your cardio while recovering. Because the thing with weightlifting is it takes a lot of time to recover from. Recovery is very important. It's one of the most important things with training. So you got to take that into consideration. Was just going to say, people unfairly say The Rise of Skywalker was the worst of the sequel trilogy. The Last Jedi was the real villain of the trilogy. Absolutely skewered Star Wars. Well, to be honest, I think The Force Awakens was shit too. I think that whole series, everything involving Disney was just unnecessary. It just didn't need to exist. Dooku sabotaged Grievous's ship to blow up, so he was forced to join the Separatists and get cybernetics. Yeah, he was set up in a way. Also, what's the deal with Prince Patel? I used to be more into the scene in the UK. I saw he just won an IBO bantamweight title. Could he potentially face Maloney for the WBO? He probably could, you know. Maybe he could fight Sonny Edwards. You know, he needs a comeback opponent. Why can't he move up and fight him, you know? I've got a tenner on Parker to win in 1-6, 25-1 odds. Zero confident though. Oh, it's a nice little punt, isn't it? You know, it's if Parker actually goes in there and lets his hands go and gets lucky, and it's a nice little punt, isn't it? Why not? Do you think Lee McGregor do anything in sport? No, I don't think so. I think he's completely shot. I think he's in the wrong weight division. He's been in the wrong weight division for too long. He's another anorexic fighter who has destroyed his body, and I don't think he goes anywhere. I think he's domestic level at best. Could have been a world champion. Don't personally, I don't think it'll ever happen, but you never know. I hope I'm wrong. We'll see. Is what it is. Thing with Caballero is that his peak happened multiple years ago when he beat Prime Chisora. I heard Caballero got knocked down twice in his last fight against a nobody. I didn't see his last fight, so I've no idea. But yeah, he kind of disappeared after the Chisora fight because that was a good win at the time. I know it's Chisora and he's not really anything special, but I mean, it was a good win at the time. Chisora was beating most of the guys he fought back then, but looking at it in retrospect, he got the win. It was a decision win. He boxed well, but he never capitalized on it. He never gained any momentum. He just kind of went inactive and disappeared. It was just, I don't know what he was thinking. He had a great opportunity to become a top contender, and it was just like he wasn't interested. He was more interested in his other business exploits. Luke trying to kill Kylo because he sees some dark side in him was ridiculous. Vader was fully turned to the dark side, and Luke didn't give up on him. Mate, thinking about that movie pisses me off, The Last Jedi. It was the most nonsensical, contrived nonsense, like just contrived garbage you will ever see in your entire life. It was bafflingly ill-conceived. Yeah, he won the IBO title in Africa. Yeah. Yeah, not a major title, but it's still a title of sorts. I also saw David Avanesian yesterday in his first fight after Crawford cheating with his gloves and KO'd him. He looked all right. Didn't look too damaged. Wouldn't mind the Josh Kelly rematch. Yeah, that'd be an interesting fight. Josh Kelly has been on the comeback trail himself. He's had a few wins since that fight, or a couple of wins anyway. And if he is ever gonna go anywhere at world level, he's going to have to prove that he's better than someone like David Avanesian. He's above European level. So, yeah, make that rematch. Why not? Why not? Is the lack of sun a reason why normies prefer the warmer countries? I don't know. Me personally, I love cold countries, right? I live in Scotland. This is a cold country. And I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it one bit. For me, the colder, the better. You know, I mean, there's nothing you can really do if it's hot. But if it's cold, you just put on a jumper and you're fine. It's all good. Shout out to Lee Talks Boxing. God bless you, bro. Every time. Lee Talks Oil Drilling. Hi, yeah. Palpatine ruined a lot of lives. Anakin, Maul, Dooku, and Grievous are only just a few. Yeah. Yeah, Palpatine was a manipulator. He's a narcissistic manipulator. Would you rather do an obstacle course with miles of barbed wire, fiberglass, and tacks, or drink endless refills Diet Iron Brew whilst watching all the Disney Star Wars movies? The first one. Yeah, the first one, without a shadow of a doubt. I would rather do the obstacle course. I guess the warm means that they can go on the beach, yeah. I mean, look, I like going on the beach, but let's be honest, it doesn't need to be warm necessarily to do that. You know, you can go on the beach when it's chilly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't jump in Loch Lomond when it's freezing cold because that's suicide. But you can go to the beach and dip a toe. It's all right. I don't mind doing that. But yeah, I've never been a big fan of warm weather. I just prefer the cold. Always have. Oh, that's good. Almost forgot I had that. Josh Taylor needs a first opponent at 137. Avanesian fits the bill, yeah. I don't think that fight will happen. But if it does, I've got Avanesian. I've got him beating the piss out of Josh Taylor at this state. I honestly think Josh Taylor is completely shot and he is not interested in boxing anymore. And he'll if he does come back to fight, he'll just look to cash out. He'll look to get one of these big names like a Boots Ennis, one of these hyped fighters, and he'll just lay down for them. That's what he'll do. As far as I'm concerned, that's what he'll do. Saw that Felix Cash is coming back as well early next year. Think he had injury problems, promising after not knocking out Bentley, another guy who fell off the face of the earth. Yeah, he was a pretty decent contender, but yeah, he just kind of ruined his career with stuff outside of the ring, didn't he? I don't know all the details, but from what I've heard, he went off the rails a bit. My favorite Harry Potter plot hole is Fred and George owning the Marauders map for years and never noticing Peter Pettigrew, despite the fact he would have always been next to Ron. Harry notices it. Yeah, that's one of the things that's one of the famous plot holes that many people have covered. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and there's no way to explain it rationally. It's just an oversight by the writer. It's just one of J.K. Rowling's many details that just don't add up. It's one of them. But there's a lot of them in the series. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things like that in the series. Why was the stone not under the Fidelius charm? They just didn't think of it. It's just an inconsistency. Disney has ruined so many characters in Star Wars. Especially look what they did to Luke's character in the sequels and Boba Fett's character in the show. Yeah, they just I'll never watch that Boba Fett show, never. That's just ultra normie garbage. That's what that is. The beach is really chilled in the winter, and the arcades are pretty much all yours as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I like about the winter too. It keeps the normies in, so I can go out and have fun, enjoy myself, without being surrounded by normies. Briedis versus Zurdo Ramirez for the IBF apparently. What a cruiserweight! I got Briedis winning that unless he's completely shot. Also heard that Regis was gonna fight Matthias, and it was already planned before the Haney fight, which is very, very weird. Yeah, that was just a sparring session. That's all that fight. All Devin Haney's fights are just sparring sessions. You know, if a prime Barry McGuigan fought prime Nassim Hamed, who would you pick and why? Or would you rather save that for a fantasy fight video? I think Nassim Hamed would probably win that fight. I think Barry could outbox him. He had good long arms. He could box from long range. But I think the strength and the power of Nassim Hamed and just the awkwardness would have been too much for Barry. I think Nazim probably would have won, but I give Barry a chance. He could have outboxed him, but would he have lasted 12 rounds? I don't think so, but I think he would outbox him early on. If Wallin or Parker do win or get a draw, what would be your reaction? Well, I don't know. I can't tell you that until it happens, can I? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll see what my reaction is after the fight. Felix Cash, Austin Williams was something that was talked about last year. They could have got it on April, but stuff happens. Yeah. Well, they could still make the fight now, could they not? I mean, I don't see no reason. Don't see no reason. They will make taking part in a war mandatory to degrade the population. Feminist movement been quietly recently. Yeah, well, feminism's kind of outdated. It's about trannies now. Frampton versus Barry McGuigan. I think Frampton's a little bit better than Barry. Just the era he fought in was a little bit more competitive. I think he'd probably win on points. Close fight though. Briedis versus Ramirez is a very underrated fight. Just like Munguia Ryder 2, two guys coming to win. Serdo having improved under Malik Scott. Yeah, well, I think if Briedis is in his prime, he stops him. But is he in his prime? He looked terrible last time. So, I don't know, man. I still slightly favour Briedis, but we'll see. Scott Harrison, too big, too strong for Hamed, yeah. Yeah, I think he has the style to beat Hamed actually, and he had the durability to beat him too. I actually spoke to him about that fight, believe it or not. I asked him about it, and yeah, he said he wanted it, but it was just it was the timing was all wrong. You know, Nazim Hamed was on his way out of the sport when he became the mandatory for that title. So yeah, it wasn't going to happen. You know, I'm surprised no one has pulled out of this card yet. Yeah, usually cards like that, someone does pull out. You know, I'm surprised no. Oh yeah, I just read that. What am I doing? Nordic. Who do you think won the Cleverly Bellew fights? The first fight, it's weird because I think I picked Tony Bellew going into the first fight, and when it happened, I thought Bellew won it. I thought he just won it, but then when I rewatched it sometime later, I actually thought Cleverly won it. It's weird. It's one of them fights. I watched it the first time, and I think I had Bellew by a couple of rounds. But when I watched it a second time, I actually changed my mind. I thought actually in the later rounds, um, Bellew was a little bit inactive. I think he kind of ran out of gas in the second half, and in the last couple of rounds, I think Cleverly just outworked him and took the rounds and did just enough to win them. The second fight, which was a few years later, I thought Bellew clearly won it, but I think the main reason he won it from watching it is because if you look at that fight closely, Cleverly barely throws a right hand. He spends the entire fight just throwing left hands and jabs. And I think he had an injury which he didn't disclose going into that fight. And not only that, but Tony Bellew used his size, his weight, and he leaned on him the whole fight and kind of took liberties with his size and weight. So I think that gave Bellew the advantage in the fight. And I felt Bellew clearly won the second fight. I think the second fight was a much clearer win for Bellew than the first fight was for Cleverly. But I actually do think, in retrospect, both decisions were correct. And I didn't think that watching the first one first time, but I think in retrospect, Cleverly did do enough to win it. That's just how I see it. It's just my opinion. Munguia at 160. Yeah, did he move up in weight? Well, he's massive for middleweight, so wouldn't surprise me. It makes you wonder how he made 154. Briedis too busy calling out Jake Paul. He still wants that payday, doesn't he? Jake Paul will never fight Briedis. Surely Briedis must know that sort of fight is beneath him, and it's never going to happen. He seems to have power behind his punches. A little leaky defensively, could be fit. Yeah, he does. Hello, Nordic. Shout out to Zito. God bless you, bro. Do you think Liston took a dive against Ali? Oh, of course he did. Of course he did. I mean, that's one of the most famous and obvious dives in boxing history. I mean, come on. Without a doubt, man. Also, Jermaine Ortiz versus Tiafimo seems to be almost signed. I guess it could be interesting since Jermaine has had moments against Loma, though he still clearly lost. Yeah, it's weird. That's another fight. It was similar to the Cleverly situation. When I first watched that, I thought Jermaine Ortiz beat Loma. I thought he won it. But when I watched it again, I watched it closer. I actually disagreed with my first score. I actually had Loma by a couple of rounds. So that was weird. Yeah, he gave Loma a very tough fight. And if that Tio fight's a real fight, he'll win, in my opinion. But it won't be real. Tiafimo's fights are sparring sessions. His opponents don't even try. Here's what it is. Best fight on the card Saturday. The most entertaining will probably be the Dubois Miller, because that's just like a nice little bum fight. Someone's taking a beating in that one. But aside from that, I don't think there's anything really that interesting. The Kabayel Makhmudov fight is a tough one to call, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily that interesting. Hamed wouldn't have that much success at 126 today, yeah. Because it's like I was saying before, Hamed is a guy who he lacks boxing fundamentals, that low guard and, trying to counter you with the uppercut and stuff like that, stepping over his, having his head leaned over his front foot. Your head should be behind your lead foot. And if you're dipping over like that and trying to counter with the uppercut, a good fighter nowadays will just take a backward step and throw the jab and you'll get caught all night. Felix Sturm versus Winky Wright. Felix Sturm versus Winky Wright. That I would favor Winky Wright in that fight. Both guys are somewhat similar. They both got a great high guard. They're both quite technically astute, but I think Winky Wright was a bit more talented, a little bit more athletic. I think a close fight, but I think Winky Wright wins on points in a close fight. Oh, and by the way, the IBF is a bunch of clowns for stripping Jai instantly that Jomo can sit on his ass for 2 years while Jai gets stripped before a defense. Yeah. Well, to be fair, Jamal is the WBC. The IBF is the IBF will strip guys, whoever they are, for not fighting mandatories, whereas the WBC will let some guys go 5 years without a mandatory. Sometimes you can even go 2 years without fighting and still have a WBC. It is what it is. How much longer do you think Hamed would have been competitive at 126 before or after the Calvo fight? Who would you pick between Hamed and Johnny Tapia? I would go with Johnny Tapia. I think the difference in that fight, especially at that stage of Hamed's career, Johnny Tapia would just outwork him. He'd throw so many more punches. He was so much more durable. And I think he'd win on points, personally. I think he would win it. Briadis, he is planning to give Jake Paul a massive black dildo. No joke. Oh, man. That's minging. Otterbeck versus Raymond Ford prediction. Jack Catterall versus Richard Hitchens. I've never seen Otterbeck or Raymond Ford, so no idea. Jack Catterall will probably beat Hitchens either a wide decision or late stoppage. Rewatch Loma versus Haney. That decision still pisses me off. Haney got bothered, yeah. Got back. Yeah, Loma won, but at the end of the day, he should have gone for the stoppage. I mean, you fight an American in America with 3 American judges and an American referee. What do you think's going to happen? I mean, these European fighters need to grow a pair of balls, and they need to start speaking up for themselves. It is what it is. I'm tired of complaining about it. It is what it is. Did you hear about Loma and Kambosos might be fighting in April? That's a mismatch. Loma will school Kambosos. Kambosos is garbage. Loma will absolutely school him if it's a real fight. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. Top rank Eastern Europe robbery. I don't like that fight being on Top Rank. I don't know anything about those guys. I didn't even know that they were with Top Rank. I think he did. I think Liston threw both of those fights. Liston was in deep with the mob, or so I've heard. And, he was a guy who was knocking people out with the jab. Yet he struggled with Ali, who was just dancing around in front of him, barely doing anything. I think they were both fixed fights. I really do. Famous fixed fights, Yeah, Jermaine Ortiz did better against Loma than Haney did. Loma got the narrow win. I agree, yeah. Loma just did enough to beat Ortiz, but he clearly beat Haney, Adam Booth? Thoughts on Adam Booth? Overrated. Very overrated trainer. Knows nothing about boxing fundamentals, doesn't understand them. Teaches a style that doesn't work unless you have insane athleticism and punching power. And as far as I'm concerned, Adam Booth is still living off of the success he had with David Haye. Most overrated fighter of the 2000 to 2023. Most overrated, maybe Wilder or Mayweather. I don't know. Those are the two that come to mind. Liston was a manager, or was a mafia managed fighter, just like Shakur Stevenson and Andre Ward. Big baby, yeah. Johnny Fisher, no, he sucks. Don't rate Johnny Fisher. Yeah, I know he's the WBC, just ridiculous. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's inconsistent with how these sanctioning bodies treat these guys. Kolmatov signed to Top Rank, and that card is on the Top Rank card with Elvinardo Lopez and Abe. Interesting. Sturm's career reminds me of Josh Warrington's by not fighting to their strength. He looked fantastic against De La Hoya using his skills. After that, he became he became a catch and shoot guy. He was a guy who would stand in the pocket with the high guard, brawling with guys, blocking and fighting and firing back. He was a lot better in the instances where he would move around and throw the jab and switch his stance and establish lead hand control, good distance control, good good movement on the outside, lateral movement. He was a lot better like that, you know? Do you watch proper boxing on YouTube? I watched one video of his, and it was, I think, one video anyway. It was one where he made about John Fury. Never seen another video of his, never watched them. It was quite funny though. Is Ford with Matchroom? I don't know, man. I don't even know who he is. Hitchens versus Catterall might be one of the worst fights ever. Listen, any fight involving Jack Catterall could be one of the worst fights ever. He's so boring. He's so boring. Israel Madrimov needs to get a move on. I think he can do damage at 154. Yeah, he could. But yeah, he needs to step it up and take on some decent opponents. What about Hamed versus Michael Brody? I saw that was supposed to happen as well, but never materialized. Yeah, they were talking about Hamed making a comeback to fight Michael Brody, but it never happened. At that stage of his career, Michael Brody might have been able to win on points. Prime Hamed would probably win on points, though, against Michael Brody, I think. I don't think either guy gets stopped in that fight, though, prime for prime. Austin Williams and Jarrell Charlo at 160. I think they both lose their O's and get defeated eventually. I've never seen Austin Williams. Jamal Charlo, I've never rated one bit. I think he's overrated. But I think he's another situation of a guy who doesn't really have real fights, you know? Set-up fights, basically. Do you think if Inoue becomes undisputed against Tapales, do you think he should already be considered an all-time great? Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there's no question that he's an all-time great. Absolutely no question about it. You know, he's already been an undisputed champion. He's already a unified champion in multiple divisions. He's beaten undefeated guys. He's beaten veterans. You know, he's beaten a legend in Inoue. I think he's already a great. You know, yeah. I think Loma should stop Kambosos. I could also see him carrying him, to be fair, and winning on points. You watch much content in the YTBC anymore? Is it dead? I still watch Fight Film. I watch Lee Talks Boxing. I watch Triple B. I watch Del Boy. And very, very, very rarely, like very occasionally, will I watch like G-Man or someone. But I don't watch any of the like normie channels. I'm just not interested in them, you know. And they're the ones who get promoted, the normie channels. You know, I just do my own thing. I upload whatever I feel like uploading. Like if I feel like uploading a boxing video, I'll do it. If I feel like uploading some sparring, I'll do it. If I feel like you know, just training, or if I feel like doing a live stream, whatever I get, I do it sporadically. Like I make these videos purely sporadically now. And yeah, I just do whatever I feel like. I don't even care who thinks what, you know. What people think doesn't bother me, you know. Only good fight Catterall has been in was the McKenna fight, and that's only because McKenna made every fight a war. Yeah, he was an absolute warrior, him. All his fights were entertaining, McKenna, you know. Could Bam potentially beat Estrada if he moves up? Well, Estrada's kind of shot, so he probably could now, you know. And how do you rate him after his performance against Sonny? To be perfectly honest, I never thought much of Sonny Edwards. I never rated him that highly. He just had no power and, you know, wasn't durable enough to win that fight. So it was a good win on paper. He beat an undefeated guy, he beat a world champion, but how good was it really? You know, it's just not. Yeah, it's not as good a win as certain people want you to know or want to make it out to be. You know, he'll be undisputed in the second weight class within a year, probably. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he wins that fight. You know, obviously, look, it's not a foregone conclusion, but most people seem to be of the opinion that he'll win, and I think he will. Do you watch BDA? No, I'm not a fan personally. It's just full of normies and full of Canelo fanboys. So no, I'm not interested in BDA. Haven't watched it in ages. Stern beat that Turkish guy again in a rematch a couple of weeks ago. People were claiming the first fight was a robbery in Germany, so he fought him again. Yeah. Stern clearly won that first fight. Like it wasn't even close. Mate, why were people calling that fight a robbery? I gotta be honest, the people who called that fight a robbery, I strongly suspect that they didn't watch it, or they just watched highlights or something, because that fight wasn't even close. It was like remotely competitive, but it wasn't even close. Sturm clearly beat that guy. I've no idea what people were watching. But that seems to be the pattern with Sturm's career. He clearly beats a guy, just like he clearly beat Matthew Macklin and Murray and whatnot, and people said it was a robbery. Like he clearly beat Matthew Macklin. Like, what were people even watching? It's just something about Sturm. It just seems to be a false reputation that he has, that he gets robberies. He's never received a gift decision in his career ever. Like, literally never. He has never received a gift decision. He won those fights clearly. Did Dubois actually lose his virginity? He'd been super smiley like a dubby in the media recently, would fit in perfect for a Dumb and Dumber movie. I don't know. There's no way I could possibly know that. But who knows? Eh? Cordina versus Inoue. Inoue. I mean, I know Cordina might be too big, but Inoue is proving to be a pound for pound talent so far, isn't he? Since Catterall and Hitchens don't have a lot of power on their punches, and they both spoil sometimes, it may end up being a TikTok kind of fight. Maybe in more boring way possible. Yeah, it might be. It might be. I remember I went to Catterall's fight against, what was that guy's name he fought? I think he was Irish or something. It was on the undercard of Lee Wood versus versus not Josh Warrington. Lee Wood versus Laura 2. I was at both of those fights, so I get them confused. But yeah, Catterall was on the undercard, and I remember we were sitting with people like Lee Wood fans and whatnot, and they were cheering for Catterall. And I must have been about a few rounds in. They were just bored to death, and they stopped watching, and they were turning around and talking. Like, Catterall just bores anybody. He's far too boring. You know, he's one of the most boring fighters ever. Catterall is, in my opinion. Once Inoue moves up to 126 and wins that division, which I think he will be a 5-division champ, and he'll be among the names of Pacquiao, Hearns, Ray Leonard, Mayweather, and De La Hoya. Yeah. I mean, he's already considered on that level by many people, you know. Thoughts about the young American hype jobs of Abdullah Mason, Bruce Carrington, Floyd Schofield, Kermel Motton. The only one of them I've heard of, I think, is Kermel Motton, who I think I saw in a Precise video. The rest of them, I have no idea who they are. Jake Paul will win the Bridgerweight title and fight the returning Anthony You'll Never See Me Again Bellew at Goodson Park. Yeah. Yeah. You won't see me again, Cougs. You won't see me again, Cougs. Yeah, sure we won't. But we've seen him more since then than when he was an active championship level fighter, you know. Sorry, just adjusting this here. All right, where was I? Every fight in Germany is a robbery, even if it's a first round knockout. Yeah, absolutely. Every fight in Germany is a robbery, because you know why? It's been scientifically proven that you can't get a decision in Germany. So yeah, that explains it all, doesn't it? I'd watch Jake Paul versus Tony Bella, and yeah, I would as well. I would watch that, because it'll be funny seeing Tony Bella get beat up by a YouTuber, you know. Any interested fighters in Germany? No, there's no fighters in Germany. There are no fighters in Germany whatsoever. No fighters whatsoever. Yeah, that's the guy he fought, Dara Foley, and Catterall hit him while he was down. I remember I was talking to, it was one of Lee Wood's relatives, or one of somebody who's in a relationship with like Lee Wood's sister or whatever, because he was at the fight with us. And I said to him, I was like, Jack Catterall's a dirty cheater, and he hits guys while they're on the floor. And then like a couple minutes later, he hit the guy while he was down. I was like, what did I tell you? There we go. Yeah. When we sparring Nordic? Anytime. I've been ducking it, have I? Well, yeah, come to my gym anytime. You know where it is, right? The information's all out there, but no, you won't. You won't. This guy, for those of you who don't know, he makes Zito. That's one of his names. He makes multiple accounts and he comments on all my sparring, saying, "I beat you. You're rubbish." And yeah, just nothing comes of it. Just a troll, you know. It's all good. I like trolling people. It's fun. In fact, you can. How do I put the camera on here? You can see my face if you want. Oh yeah, how's it going, bro? I know it's dark, so you can't really see me, but I'll get some light. There you are. Hey, you can upload this to your channel. This is my face. See my Star Wars what you call it? My Star Wars house coat. It's my Darth Vader house coat. I know it's a bit dark in here, but I can't be bothered turning the light on. But yeah, you can screenshot this and upload it to your channel. A video of me talking. Do it. And say fat loser Nordic warrior talks, you know. I love it. I love it, man. Upload it to your channel. And make like an exposed video. I love those when people make those about me. For some reason, I think Callum Smith versus Beterbiev might be a really interesting fight. Perhaps a bit like Yard versus Kovalev. Callum looks better at light heavyweight, but can he take the power? Yeah, yeah. I think Callum Smith is a lot more durable because let's not forget the dude was flipping anorexic. He was bloody anorexic fighting at 168. I don't know how he made 168. He must have been starving himself. But like the thing is like at 170, sorry, I saw something funny there. At 175, he's not only does he seem to be stronger, durable, more power, but he looks more felt out to me, like he's got more body fat, like a little bit of healthy excess body fat. And he looks to me like he's so much more energetic in the ring and so much more vibrant, you know, which I think is important for fighters, you know. I still think 130 is new his limit personally. Bit too small for 135. The way I see it, he could probably compete at 135, but I don't see him being like a destroyer in that division. I can't see him knocking guys out. I think some guys would be a bit too strong for him, you know. No, I've still not watched that yet. I keep meaning to. I keep meaning because I really rate Rebecca Ramirez, but hearing he lost that fight surprised me. So I'll need to check it out or check out the highlights or something. I'll upload one of my fights tomorrow. Oh, do you know what? I really, really look forward to that. I upload. I look forward to you uploading like a Muhammad Ali video or something, and that being one of your fights. Yeah, I want everybody to see what I look like. I can't be bothered turning the light on. But yeah, you guys have all seen my face. You know where I live. My information's all over the internet. In fact, I've not got any cans here. I was going to show you guys my iron brew. I'm out. You can see my pink curtains and everything. All right, where was I? But yeah, you can come to my gym anytime. You know, it's all public information. You know, what you can go there, you can film me, you can make an exposed video, you can call me out, we can spar, and you know you can upload it online and show the world you kicking my ass. You know, is what it is. Easy peasy. I would enjoy it. I would enjoy getting beaten up and someone uploading it and saying, look at what a bum he is." All right, I saw Berlanga is fighting a guy named Padre. I've heard of that name. Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy who beat Leon Bunn, the German prospect. I think they fought for like the IBO title at light heavyweight. I think Cordina is so underrated. Best fighter in the UK. The Navarrete, yeah, the Navarrete fight would be interesting. Like Cordina could outbox Navarrete, but Navarrete is extremely like tough and durable. He might be able to break him down. You know, I think he's naturally bigger too. Oshaki Foster is fighting that Puerto Rican Abraham Nova for the 130 WBC title. Nova is the guy Rabasi knocked out. Oshaki was getting beat up, but won in the last round in his last fight. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd need to check them out and all, maybe. Maybe Bellew complained about PED testing because he could not use what he was using as much. Yeah, I was suspicious about Bellew, especially with how critical he was of other fighters involving PED testing. But then when it came to himself being tested, he had a problem. You know, like it was interfering with his training camp or whatever. Nova has power, something Foster lacks. It might be an underrated, interesting fight. Yeah, it might be. Might be. Joshua versus Wilder. That just depends on who the establishment want to win. That's all that that's all that comes down to, man. Literally all of it. I understand you, bro. Got what you're saying. Tony Bella, I'm gonna spark you out, lad. Yeah, I'm gonna smash him from pillar to post. Typical Tony Bellew. Is Lee Wood good enough to beat any of the champions at 130? To be perfectly honest, I don't think so. I think he's kind of hit his peak now, and I just think that Lee Wood is going to cash out anytime soon. Yeah. It's a shame because Lee Wood does have a lot of talent, but I think he gets hit too much. And if Warrington was a puncher, there is no way that he would have gotten through that fight, you know, because he took way too many shots. Lee Wood will have a cash out at the City Ground against Warrington, probably lose, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me if Warrington beat him in the rematch. It wouldn't. Even if it's in the, whatchamacallit? Even if it's in the City Ground, like with thousands of Nottingham fans, you know, he'd probably still lose, you know. I thought it was funny when I was at that fight. Again, I was with a whole bunch of Nottingham lads. And then these Leeds lads came right up behind us and they were like, Nottingham is full of queers. I thought that was funny. I pissed myself. And they were going, Warrington. And there was a few fights in the crowd, but yeah, I didn't involve myself, of course, you know. Is what it is. I need to stop now and watch these superstars shine. Jake Paul. Shout out to all my fans. It's an honor sharing the ring with this legend right here in Manchester, Goodison Park. Yeah. Zito, is he part of the LDBC? I don't think so. I don't think so. I know. I think I know who Zito is actually. Like he won't admit it, but I think I know who he is. We've had dealings in the past, and open you up like a tin of beat. Yeah, I know who he is. I think. Yeah. We've had dealings in the past. We go back a long way. Do you want a piece of Mini Usyk? Yeah, yeah, Mini Usyk is Loma. Yeah, there we are, Mini Usyk. There he is. Have you ever watched a YouTuber called Ultra? I've seen the channel. I don't think I've watched any of his videos. What do you think of him? Do you recommend him or not? I think Prime Hay obliterates Bellew. Oh, without a doubt, Prime Hay knocks out Bellew. I've no doubt about that. Nordic, you're a hunk. Your girl's lucky. Oh, of course she is. I mean, tell me something I don't know. You know, you're saying things that are just too obvious. You know, and any girl would be lucky. You know, but yeah. Right, where was I? I'm getting lost here. I'm seeing all these comments coming in at once. Did you see Colbert getting slept by Rayo Valenzuela? Definitely a worthy KO of the year. No, I didn't see that either. But I did hear that Colbert was getting a lot of hype and he just got completely exposed. Looks like the poor brother got a first round knockout win over some Golden Gloves guy, from what I heard. Well, so he fought an amateur, basically. Was it a real knockout, though? I didn't watch it, so I don't know. Beefy Meatball Nordic. Yeah, you know it. 14 stone of just pure sex appeal, you know? Believe it or not, I was 17 stone at the start of last year, or the start of this year, sorry. So yeah, I've done all right so far. Let's see. Hope I can keep it up. Still quite hard to predict that fight, though. I really don't have much faith in Warrington winning a fight against anyone, and Wood is pretty washed up. Yeah, Warrington could be schooling you and could easily win on points, but he'll just sell out in order to get the knockout and be like, let's have it. And he'll want to stand and brawl, and he gets himself knocked out. Thoughts on True School Sports? I've not seen True School Sports in a while, but I've got no problem with the guy. I think he's a good guy. Hayward have won the first fight without the injury. Yeah, because he was ahead on points, wasn't he? And he got pulled out due to the injury. Yeah, different but similar opinions, styles to you. You'd get along, I think. Yeah, I might check out that channel then. Tommy fights Roy Jones. What's your take on that? Tommy who? What you on about? Tommy Fury? I've no idea. I've never watched Tommy Fury fight, so I've no idea. If it takes 10 plumbers to fix David Price after Tyson Fury gives it to him, how come I can't get one plumber when I need one? Yeah, yeah, they're cowboys, aren't they? That Jake Paul KO looked very fishy to me. Do you know what? I've heard that many times about Jake Paul fights. They always, yeah, he said it too. They always look fixed. Yeah, they do. 17 stone that Tyson Fury diet. Well, put it this way. I used to drink 4 liters of Iron Brew a day, and I would eat takeaways every other day, and I would just eat like donuts, biscuits, like constant crap. I had a severe sugar addiction. I would eat like I would go to like Tesco and buy like a full bacon joint and just eat it as it was, you know. I was just a greedy cunt, man. But yeah, I had to make changes, you know, had to make a few lifestyle changes, and yeah, I lost about 3 stone, and hoping to lose more, like because I want to get down to about. I know this is probably a bit of a stretch. I want to get to about 11.5 stone. Like my coach actually has suggested that that should be my fighting weight, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, I was very very unhealthy. Who am I then, Nordic? Ah, you know. Why do you hate Canelo? See. That's a tactic here. What he's done there is he said, "Why you hate Canelo?" That's to make me think he's not who I think he is. He's trying to make me think he's like a Canelita. That's not who he is. Trust me. Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. His fights are fake. I mean, if he's got the money, he'll do it. He's kind of like Jorge Quaggy, you know. Roy needs to stop. It's just depressing at this point. Well, I actually think Roy is broke because Roy was in debt several years ago to the Russians. That's why he kind of moved over there and became like a sideshow for them. And you know, Roy was like a massive spender, and they used to advertise him as being a much bigger draw than he really was. And I just think he is broke and he needs the money, and he's pretty much addicted to fighting. You know, he's been boxing pretty much his whole life, hasn't he? So he's one of these guys who can't give it up. You know. Are you afraid of diabetes, Nordic? Well done being. Well, I think I was actually pre-diabetic. I don't know that for certain, but I've actually had a blood test this year and I wasn't diabetic. I was actually in perfect health, but I'm pretty certain at the start of the year I may have been, you know. He should have stopped for good after that Enzo knockout was disturbing. Yeah, that was brutal. Even before then, the Lebedev knockout was enough. I think he should have, and he got stopped in 1 round by Danny Green. He should have never continued fighting at that level after that, you know. Central South American fighters, I don't know, man. You need to name me some, you know. Furies have no morals, and Tommy is being a trash father partying with women while he has a child. Yeah, he's just look, he's just typical celebrity, isn't he? Celebrities, you know, they sell their soul for fame and money and attention. It is what it is. How come all these boxers become broke? Well, this is a thing with celebrities. You know, they like to please everyone around them, and you know they're constantly buying expensive shit they don't need to show off, to be a narcissist, like buying multiple houses, multiple cars, getting themselves in debt, not realizing that they reach a point where they're no longer as marketable as they used to be. Like you look at these Hollywood actors, you look at like Stallone and Schwarzenegger and people like that. You know, they're massive draws in the 80s and 90s, and they become like multimillionaires. They spend so much money that they don't need to spend. They buy things they don't need. And then when their income isn't what it used to be, like basically they become no longer big draws, they start spending more than they're making. It just becomes it becomes too much for them. That like and they end up we're seeing it with a lot of boxers as well. Like they end up not being able to generate the income they were, but they're still spending a lot of money. Do you know my favorite fight, probably the most underrated one, I think is what do you call it? I think it's Adamek versus Cunningham. That's by far my favorite fight. I think it's incredible. Yeah, thanks, Mr. B. I appreciate it. God bless you. Fury is crap. No, I wouldn't say he's crap. I wouldn't say he's crap. Calzaghe is when he should have stopped. Maybe the hilarious Hopkins rematch. Yeah. Oh yeah, that Hopkins rematch is one of the worst fights I've ever seen. In fact, come to think of it, aside from Rigondeaux fights, that might be one. That might be the worst. Would you sleep with Paris Fury? No, I'm spoken for. I'm already in a relationship, and yeah, I'm a Christian, so no. Time plus she's married already. Timeout Zito. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Don't worry, it's all right. I'll tolerate it for now. I'm a forgiving man. It's sick. Why would you say that? Ban him. What is he talking about? Are you talking about when he said sleep with Paris Fury? Nah, I don't know. I've heard a lot worse. I've heard a lot worse than that. Miss Shane Mosley, aka Lady. Yeah, let's not make this a Lady Chan stream. We've already had one of those. No one talks about Mosley Mayorga. Oh yeah, that was a great fight. And Mayorga getting hit on the chin on purpose just to make it more entertaining. You know, manly chat. If you was to have a top 5 best fights you've seen, what would it be? Adamek versus Cunningham would be number 1, I think. I think Usyk versus Briedis would be up there. That might be number 2 because not only was that a great brawl, but it was also a highly skilled fight. I'd say Povetkin versus Hook would be up there. Fantastic fight. Great fight to watch. Pacquiao versus Marquez 2. That was an incredible fight, I think. Probably the most entertaining of the trilogy. How many was that? Was that 4? So just was that 3 or 4? I can't remember. Got to think of another man. There's a lot of fights I like, but one to put up there as the top 5, it's hard, man. It's hard. I'm trying to think of one, man. And I mean, I've got a lot of fights in my mind, like really, really good ones, entertaining ones. Oh yeah, there's one. That'll be one that Lee Talks Boxing. Alex Arthur versus Steve Foster Jr. Fantastic fight. That would be up there. That fight's so underrated. That'll probably be number 5. Those are some of the best fights I've seen. People only watch Lady Chan because of her good looks. Hey, to each their own. To each their own. Cotto Mosley was a really good fight as well. Yeah, that was a good fight too. It was entertaining. Yeah, Gatti Ward, very good fight. Like very, very good brawl. Do you love Molly May? I've no idea who that is. Oh, this is that guy that just says random comments. Yeah. Yeah, Provonikov Bradley. I was trying to think of that. I forgot the names. Yes, that one. Provonikov Bradley. Yes. Artur Akhmedov, some unknown journeyman that Rolly KO'd, knocked out you. Yeah, in sparring a few years back. Alex Arthur. Mollis May is simple. I don't know who that is. Alex Arthur versus Michael Gomez. Yeah, that's a great fight too. I think the I think the whatchamacallit fight is a little bit better though, the Steve Foster Jr. fight. Would you drop me in sparring? No, of course I wouldn't. You'd open me up like a tin of beans. I'm fat, remember, and short. So no, you'd win easily. Look at come on, man. That guy just writes random gibberish in the comments. He does. I saw Precise call Chris Algieri avocado man. I had a good laugh for about 10 minutes from that. Yeah, that was funny. Champion Lifestyle. Chris Algieri, I think he used to have a channel called Champion Lifestyle. He might still have it, come to think of it. Yeah, they let him out the cage and then he got dropped. How long you been on YouTube? About 7 years or something. Well, I've been on YouTube longer, but I've had this channel for about 7 years, I think. My original channel, when I was like part of the Spyro the Dragon fandom, I made in like 2009 or something. I can't remember. I was in high school. I think it was 2009. Macklin versus Moore. Yeah, that was a great fight. Great, like, domestic fight. Hatton versus John Thaxton, another good fight. Hatton almost lost that fight. Hook versus Gassiev, that never happened. Oh, yeah, Hook yeah, you meant Glavatsky. Yeah, Hook versus Glavatsky was a great fight. That was a fantastic fight, it really was. How'd you score Sturm De La Hoya? I think I had it, like, 9-3 for Sturm. I thought he completely schooled him and won it clearly. Anthony Joshua versus Johnny Fisher, yeah. See, that's the type of guy I would time out because he just writes, he just writes, like, flipping just irrelevant shite. Spell it out. Spell what out? Who am I, bruv? Oh, you're Miles Morales, of course. You're the Black Spider-Man. Oh, man. But yeah, I had it like 9-3. Yeah, I should, shouldn't I? I don't like banning people because I feel like a hypocrite. Because I used to complain when people would ban me for trolling, but I don't know, man. I probably should. Yeah, yeah, he's the Black Spider. See, he's panicking now because he knows I know who he is. Yeah. Dave Allen versus David Price. Hatton versus Collazo was my favorite Hatton fight. Yeah, that was a great fight. Underrated fight. It was a good performance from Hatton too, but it was a close fight, you know? Yeah, yeah, I'm a Jake Paul fan, of course. Yeah, he's Batman. No, you're Miles Morales. You're the Black Spider-Man. It's funny. It's different. Yeah, yeah, isn't it? If it's funny, it's different. Yep. Oh man, I'm getting tired. I'm not sure whether to go until 9 or whether to just call it a day. I want to watch Shrek the Halls. Well, me and the missus are going to watch it tonight, and we're going to have some soup. Got some soup in the kitchen. That'll be nice. Got another can too. Is Zito Carl Froch? Imagine it was Carl Froch. No, if it was Carl Froch, he would use his own name because you know, Carl Froch is a narcissist. He's always got to have his face and his yeah, he's always got to be on camera. He's always got to be getting himself out there so that everyone knows it's him, you know. Zito's not a narcissist. He's just a troll, you know, and he's someone with a personal vendetta, you know. Bredis Prescott versus Amir Khan. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what it'll be like. Beterbiev versus Marcus Brown was a good fight. Yeah, it was good, but Beterbiev won it pretty clearly, you know. I mean, it wasn't as competitive as some people thought it was. It was like the headbutt and the cut made it more competitive. Amir Khan versus Dimitri Salita. Scotland beat England in a war in 30 minutes. In 30 minutes? Don't know what you mean by that. YouTube my fight, Kane Mallison versus Balalel. I'm Kane. I'll be sure to do that when I feel like it, or unless I forget. Pull a bat. You want to pull a bat and have a little pull and push. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Carl Froch, man. Yeah, he's a philosopher, Carl Froch, a true intellectual. You know, he comes out with some absolute belters, doesn't he? You seen the new Napoleon film? No, and I'm never gonna watch it because I've heard it's basically a cock fetish. That's basically what that film's all about, you know. Check my skills out. Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait to see your skills. I can't wait. The anticipation is killing me. But yeah, to answer your question, no. Anthony Joshua could be the next UK GB president. Who knows? Yeah, you never know. He could be. If enough little girls vote for him, you know. Oh man, this stream has gone full retard, hasn't it? You know, all the well, not all of them, but most of the intellectuals of up and left, and we're left with just utter madness. And oh, it is Lee. He might say something intellectual. Let's see. Miller versus Brown was actually a war. Good fight. Doesn't bode well for Miller against Dubois. Yeah, I mean, if you go into war with a 40-odd-year-old shot Lucas Brown, then that's not a good sign, is it? You probably shot. Oh, boxing fans still here. There you go. It's all good. We got a couple good guys in still. Yeah, God bless you, bro. See, this is the problem with social media. See, when you let these like autistic people online, this is the kind of shit you get when you get like these like mentally ill, disabled like weirdos, and they find the internet. They somehow, for whatever reason, they always seem to be attracted to me and my channel. I don't know why. I'm one of these people. I'm like a Todd magnet. I just attract weirdos. Don't I? Mate, I never say anything intellectual. Let's be honest. No, you say a few things intellectual. Not all of them are autistic. Some of them are just smart. Yeah, yeah. You're one of the smart ones for sure. So is Lee. Mhm. I'm an international superstar. It's as simple as that. Do you remember that meme? And it was Froch was on the canvas, and he was like, it was like, Eddie, tell him to stop. I'm an international superstar. That was too funny. Oh yeah, we need John Box in here. This would be like the perfect like short bus gang if we had John Box in here. The perfect Todd stream. It will have truly gone full retard if that happened. I'm guessing you didn't like the Legend of Spyro games. Do you know what? I'm gonna review those games next year. Like in the first half of next year, I'm gonna review all three of them, and you'll see what I think of them then. So stay tuned for that. Don't wanna give too much away. I was talking about when Scotland became area and had to go to war with North England, and I hear the war only lasted 30 minutes. It's off topic, but I've heard this around. Never could believe it. I doubt it very much. It would take a long time to to end something like that, wouldn't it? It wouldn't take 30 minutes, I don't think. Base boxing is autistic. Yeah, he is, but he's the good kind of autistic. The ones who have like an eidetic memory. He's not one of the annoying screeching ones like duh, duh, duh. He's not one of them ones, like some of you guys. He's he's one of the like more intellectual ones. He's like the Rain Man ones, like the genius ones. Autistic smart people, all of them are bad, struggle to get the help they need. I just look, to be honest, I wasn't singling out autism. I just said autism because it sounds funny. It's a funny thing to say, that I attract autism. It's one of them. I can't believe I missed most of the base Dooku live. God bless everyone. Yeah, God bless you too, Svenoki. Absolute legend, man. Absolute legend of a guy. God bless you. Be interesting to see if Dubois has the heart to KO Miller, though. He'll probably have to unload. Yeah, I don't think he needs to KO him. I just think he needs to give him enough of a beating to deter him from coming forward and applying too much pressure. I think that's all he needs to do. Nordic, you already give your thoughts on Bam versus Edwards. Yeah, pretty predictable result. Never thought much of Sonny Edwards. No power, no durability, and not enough physical strength to keep a more explosive, athletic fighter like Bam off him. And I'm surprised he came to fight. I thought he would have just run and survived, but he gave it a good go. He tried to fight, but didn't have enough in the tank. It was a classic British performance. He gave it all he had, but wasn't enough to win. It is what it is. Yeah. I attract autism. Must be a problem with you. Maybe it is a problem with me. Maybe it is. It certainly could be. The closer we get to the fight, the more I think Otto the Odril is going to get knocked out early. Personally, I don't think he gets knocked out early. I think he either gets stopped late or loses on points. So I could see it being like that. Day of Reckoning card may just be that. Day of Reckoning, completely on boxing, yeah. Just ruins boxing and makes an absolute mockery of it. Boxing's a joke anyway, is what it is. He gave it a go like Arthur will against Beevil. Yeah, he'll give it a go. He'll come to fight. He'll be a game competitor. It'll be a spirited effort. You know that TYT Sports will upload the videos after the fight, after he gets completely dominated. They'll say spirited effort instead of domination by Beevil. They'll say spirited effort. Isaac Frost or Ivan Drago. I would go Ivan Drago because Ivan Drago was able to make it to the 15th round against Rocky. Isaac Frost is a bigger puncher. He's more like explosive, but he would gas out in a couple of rounds. If Drago could survive for 4 or 5 rounds, then Isaac Frost would completely run out of gas. And Drago, who was an elite athlete, who also had a great chin with solid stamina, he would knock Isaac Frost out by like round 5 to 7, I'd say. If this is the best card in boxing, we need to ban boxing. Yeah, the fact that this card has got so many people excited and it's gotten such a positive response, it just, man, it just shows you how little interest we should have in boxing because it's such a garbage sport. If this is the best it can give us, a bunch of set up mismatches. I used to just spam right hands online with Frost. Yeah. Yeah, I used to do that as well, like, or spam the right hand to the body, and he's, like, unstoppable. Just throw the straight right or the right uppercut to the body, and you break anybody down with him, it's easy. You could do it with Mike Tyson, but it was easier with Frost because he was just overpowered in the early rounds. He just had poor stamina, because he didn't in the actual game, like, his AI doesn't pace himself. I watched Jarrell Miller because he's just like an idiot who thinks he can win by first round knockout every time. I watched Jarrell Miller last few fights in full, and he looked absolutely terrible. So I'm picking Dubum to knock him out. I agree. I think Dubum. I think Dubum stops him. I personally do. Don't think he'll like knock him out like cold, but I think he'll stop him with a lot of punches. Probably stop him on his feet. Yeah, there's no reason it shouldn't be AJ Wilder. This is just to build that fight. Yeah, they are. They're all literally set-up fights. That's exactly what they are. Yeah, Mark Demori's coming to win, probably. He's probably the only one that's coming to win out of the underdogs because it doesn't matter. They don't even need to pay him off. He's too easy to beat, I stopped playing Fight Night Champion online because there were so many cheaters with unlimited stamina. Yeah, man, that game had so many hackers online. It was ridiculous. And EA did nothing about it. Guys who would just spam the straight right to the body with unlimited stamina, and there was nothing you could do. It didn't matter how skilled you were at the game, how experienced you were at the game. There was literally nothing you could do because they had unlimited stamina. So it was hackers. There was so many hackers. It was ridiculous. Joshua Wilder on the same card, but official for March, according to some new feeds. Yeah, it doesn't bode well for the two main events, is it? I mean, it seems obvious that they're fixed to set that up, Sonny Edwards would beat Mark Demori. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, honestly, wouldn't surprise me if he could do that, Despite the size difference, he maybe could. Mark Demori got robbed against Hay. Yeah, his fist, or his head hit David Hay's fist so hard that Hay should have been stopped, Is what it is, man. Is what it is. Mark Demori versus Dave Allen. Probably Dave Allen by knockout inside like 5 rounds. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, boxing video games. There's not been many of them lately, has there? And Fight Night was probably the best. I think Fight Night Champion is probably the best ever boxing game in terms of the technicalities of it, Even though there was things about Fight Night Round 4 that I did like more, Certain things about it, like the control scheme and whatnot. I remember playing as Andre Bishop against Vitaly Klitschko on Champion or Legendary mode. It was so fun because I got knocked down like 5 or 6 times before I couldn't get up again. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like Andre Bishop was quite chinny, but he had so much heart. He would keep getting up, He was a very, very game fighter. Very much heart. I don't like the look of the undisputed boxing game. Do you know, I don't like the look of that either. It looks a little bit janky to me and boring, I don't like it. I don't like the look of it. It looks so strange. I don't blame Mark Demori for taking the fight. He's on the verge of retirement and is getting a payday. Hrgovic, on the other hand, should be embarrassed. I agree 100%. Mark Demori is going to take every opportunity he's given. It's an opportunity for him to not only potentially get a good win, but he's getting paid very well, I'd assume. But as far as Hrgovic is concerned, it's just a shameful cherry pick. And he can do so much better. He's so far above that fight that he should not be taking a fight at that level. Here's what it is. Mark Demori is the guy who learned to box with YouTube videos. don't think it works like that. Yeah, you need a proper coach and you need to be in a boxing gym to learn how to box, is what it is. Yeah, that game looked rough. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Andre Bishop was juiced up to the gills. He went from middleweight to heavyweight without any stamina loss. Yeah, he did. As if that could just happen. You just go straight from middleweight to heavyweight and knock out the heavyweight champion. That's like an American boxing media pundits like wet dream, like the idea of Andre Ward going up to middleweight and knocking out Vladimir Klitschko. You could tell that's what they were thinking when they made that. You could tell that they did. It was something along those lines. Yeah, he does. Andre Bishop has a glass chin, but he has loads of heart, and he keeps getting up. You can have AJ and Fury fight in the UFC game. Yeah, and see who wins on like a computer match. Videos can help, but you still need to have coaching because it's all well and good watching the techniques on a video, how to throw a punch, but you'd need to have like a punching bag. You need to experience being in a gym and throwing punches and having a coach show you practically what to do. Particularly if you're one of these practical learners, someone who needs to do something to learn, it's always better to go to a boxing gym and train and spar, train properly with people who know what they're doing, who are experienced at training. It is so much different to anything you could learn online. Is what it is, man. That's what it is. Fight Night Champion was actually a really smooth game, and I agree. The Undisputed game looks quite slow and clunky. Yeah, it just looks boring to me. It looks like not as fast or as fluid as Fight Night. Yeah, yeah. Prison beefed up Andre Bishop when he was in the prison. He must have done a lot of weights, and he beat up all them like white supremacist guys, and he ended up so like big and tough. You can tell that game was written by normies. Funny how Wilder took the fight after Parker being KO'd. He could have fought Parker earlier. Well, yeah. I just think it's a fixed fight. Yeah, you need Bomuk to tell you, there you go. Like every time you throw anything, like you throw a jab. There you go. There you go. Box that motherfucker. Box him. Hit that body. You don't like it to the body. There you go. He don't like it to the body. There you go. That's what you need in the corner. That way you can win any fight. Also, you need to actually learn. Yeah, you need to actually get hit to learn how to take a shot. Can't learn that through videos. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, if you've sparred before and you've taken shots, you'll know your limitations to an extent and you'll know whether or not boxing's for you. But if you've just learned like shadow boxing and watching technique videos online, you might get into a sparring session and get hit. And it could be a shock to your system. And you'd be like, no, this isn't for me. I'm not having this. Like people have had that before. They've had one sparring session and they've given up on boxing. Whereas like someone like myself, I've sparred many times over the years and I know I can take a shot without crying or running away. So not everybody can, believe it or not. Like some people, they might be good on the bags and on the pads, but you put them in sparring and they get hit on the chin. They don't react well, some people. Some people just aren't stoic enough for it or durable enough for it. It is what it is. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not easy. Malik Scott is a bum who took a dive against Deontay Wilder and ran all night against Luis Ortiz. Don't rate him one bit. I don't rate him as a trainer either, to be honest. Will Parker fall down from a slap like Malik Scott? And he'll probably get skimmed with the pinky finger and he'll go down and be quote unquote knocked out. Getting knocked down is a big shock. I speak from experience, yeah. See, that's the thing. I've never actually been knocked down in sparring, but I've been hurt in sparring. I've been hurt quite badly, and I've been knocked off balance and whatnot. And I've sparred people of different sizes, and it's one of them things. Some people, they just don't react well to it. Like if they get hit on the chin, they get emotional and they just give up on it. They're like, I don't want to experience that again. Some people actually, to an extent, they kind of enjoy it because they think, you know what, I want to try and avoid that next time. Like that's kind of like what I'm like when I spar. If I get hit, you'll notice I don't tend to get hit with the same shot. Like if you watch my sparring videos, obviously I'm holding back. I'm not going full power, but you'll notice that when I get hit with a shot, I don't tend to get hit with that same shot again. I tend to adjust to it. Like if I get hit with a jab, I'll start like dipping my knees and slipping under the jab. Like if I get hit with a right hand, I'll keep my left hand up. I'll keep it up at my chin to like I'll keep it glued to my chin to avoid getting hit. Like I'm defensively aware. Like because I tend to spar with guys who are lighter than me, I don't go for power at all. Like I never throw a full-blooded power punch in sparring. You're not trying to set up. You're not trying to set about the other guy. You're not even trying to win necessarily. You're just trying to work on things. And I mostly work on defense when I spar. And I kind of try and keep long range, or I try and cut off the ring and block punches while not getting hit much. While making the opponent move and not getting hit much. And basically like it's a thing where, like I said, when I get hit, I don't panic. I'm very, very calm in the ring, and I adjust to it, and I just make little technical adjustments, little slight ones to try and avoid getting hit again. And they say you get like 5% better every time you spar. Your timing gets better. Your anticipation gets better each time. Your stamina gets better. Your durability gets better. Your reflexes get better. And it's true. Like sparring is the best form of training. Only some people can handle it, though. That's the thing. Mark Demore might have better boxing skills than Canelo. Yeah, it's just his fights are real. Do you know the closest I've been to ever going down was I sparred with this guy called Jav Khalik years ago when I was only like 15. And he caught me with a left hook to the body, and it sickened me. Like I felt like I was going to vomit. I nearly took a knee. I didn't quite go there, but I nearly took a knee. I also sparred with this lightweight earlier this year, and he caught me with an overhand right. Like, see, we were kind of supposed to be light sparring. I was told not to, because I was so much bigger and heavier. I was told to go easy on him, basically. So I was kind of just feinting with the jab and not committing to anything. But I went to throw a right hand, but I kind of pulled it and I squared up, and I uploaded the video. You guys saw it. Like I didn't show the whole thing, but I showed the clip of me just squaring up and throwing a right hand, and I got caught with a massive overhand right. Like the guy I wasn't expecting it at all. Like because he didn't throw anything with power prior to that because it was only light sparring. But I think he got carried away with it for a second, and he threw a huge right hand, and it caught me on the chin, and I stumbled backwards. I nearly fell over. Like the video's on my channel. It's called Little Guy Can Punch. That's the name of the video. Probably not. No, they probably knocked me out. They're too big for me, or they were in their prime. Yeah, just watch Enter the Dragon. That's better than any YouTube video. yeah. Vladimir Klitschko versus Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee just swings his head up and breaks his neck. I don't agree with the people releasing clips of people being dropped in sparring. However, I'm happy the clip of Clarissa flattened was released. It reminded me of Hopkins versus Smith with her legs up. Yeah, she looked as if she was ready to get taken by him with her legs in the air, didn't she? That's what it looked like. Yep, Jawed Khalik, the IBO champ. I used to train at his gym. Seen some of his fights. Good for. Yeah, he's from Nottingham. He was Carwin Herbert's trainer. He was also my best friend's trainer, and I trained at his gym a few times when I was a kid, and I sparred with him. And yeah, he caught me with a body shot, nearly dropped me. He was a good fighter, him. He still trains too. He still trains a lot of fighters. Very, very good trainer. Very good trainer. yeah. Or he would use the 1-inch punch and take him down. Once you take a knee, it's easier to do it again. Just that look at the bum. Yeah, because you get used to it. You won't be getting hit if you take a knee. You'll have a way out. Then what you can do is you can wait for the referee to count to 9, get up and pretend you want it to continue when it gets waved off. You can pretend like you wanted to continue the fight and that you would have won if you didn't get stopped. It's a good ego thing, I guess. Yeah, Bruce Lee would defeat Thanos within seconds. He would. I don't think Tyson Fury has to fight Anthony Joshua. There's not as much demand for that fight as there was before, Is what it is. But I'd still like to see it, because why not? It would kind of add a bit of extra polish to one of their careers, wouldn't it? It's a fight that was in talks for a long time, and a lot of fans would be into it, so why not? I'd watch it, but personally, can't see it happening. Don't think so, anyway. Bruce Lee could beat the Hulk and Superman both at once. Yeah, with his 1 inch punch. He would punch the Hulk with his 1 inch punch, and he would fall into Superman, and it would beat him. Yeah, I could see it happening as a cash out. I don't think it's very likely though. Thanos on points. Nah, Bruce Lee's 1 inch punch would defeat him, no doubt. Anyway, guys, on that note, I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna watch Shrek the Halls with the missus, have a bowl of soup or whatever, and yeah, I'll probably stream again before Christmas. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. It's been interesting. Plenty of Corey talk and some boxing here and there, some movie stuff, bit of politics, a bit of philosophy. Yeah, God bless each and every one of you. Stay vigilant, and thanks for stopping by. Stay tuned for more content in the near future.